Good evening, welcome to WooTube. My name is Baran Woo. This is a little bit off center, a bit of somewhere like there today. My name is Baran Woo, and today we're going to be talking about startup. Because it's startup week. I don't know whether that's official or unofficial, but it's startup week now. We've had some pretty interesting startup news. Um, we've we've got Turtok is already throwing down in the chat. Good evening, Turtok. Nice to see you here. Axu, yes, we are starting on the correct time. Uh, I might have mentioned to Axu earlier, but I usually start around 8 p.m. and he told me that I never start around 8 p.m. It's normally half an hour later than that, and he's kind of true. He's kind of correct, but like, kind of got off the ground on time today, which is exciting. Um, and if you're still here, Jai, hello and good night. I hope you sleep well. But yes, we have a fantastic guest today. Potentially someone who is really smart, beautiful, and incredibly modest. But we'll get to that in a second. Um, Firstly, a couple of little things from the weekend. Firstly, the deck list of the week this week is the Mercury deck, which did really well at Australian Nats. Went 7-0. And the main reason I want to talk about it is that this is the deck which I tried to build on stream last week based on a very small amount of information which I had about it. And I'm quite pleased with how close I got to this. So this is the deck. So we've got like Bravado's Career Fairs. Career Fairs is something that I had missed, so we can get to that. Carpe Diems, Dirty Laundries, free inside jobs, free rejigs, 2 reprise, 3 Estabrados, a full set of Sparks and Sure Gambles. Hardware, 1 Boomerang, a Capybara, 3 Hermes, 3 prepaid. Resources, Earthrise, Class Act and Twinning, and Icebreakers, Fet. Now, uh, this is what I had built. Also, also 46 cards. Okay, so this is what I put together: 46 card Mercury based on a small amount of information that I had, and this is very, very close to what they had. I put in a Debbie for fun. They just had uh, 3 Earthrise, 3 Class Acts. So like we had the same amount of resources. We missed the career fairs, which make a lot of sense because actually like all of these cost 3 or more. You've got plenty of targets for them, and the deck just needs some money to get off the ground. And then I had diversion of funds, which the original deck didn't have, and that kind of makes sense. I, you don't really want to be wasting your fems on HQ so that you can diversion them because you need your fems to get in and see other stuff. Like obviously you might put one on HQ, but this seems like it probably wouldn't be diversion. So we take out the diversions, you put in Carpe Diems, and you put in career fairs, and like we're pretty spot on. Like they played 1 boomerang, I had 2. Um, but everything else here, like I think even like I had 2 dirty laundries, they had 2 dirty laundries, so I'm quite pleased at where I got to with this. Axie wants to know if we can play a cool deck like Shell Game Pravdvost, and that is about the most Axu comment that you can expect for the evening. Yeah, maybe we'll just play Shell Game Pravdvost all night, apart from the fact that I don't think Prav is legal in startup right now, so it wouldn't work very well with the kind of plan for the evening. Um, other things which um other things which is quite cool. Kikai won the East Anglia regionals, which is really nice because Kikai's been playing this list and refining this list, the Bankar Steve list, for what seems like an eternity. Like every time I see it, like one card has changed, like one thing's been swapped in, swapped out, um, and he's been like doing such good work with this as a uh as a uh an archetype. It just feels correct. It just feels like correct that it has won something. So I'm really, really pleased with that. And I'm not totally sure if Kikai is like playing at UK Nats or if he's just help like volunteering and stuff at UK Nats. So it might have been one of the last times for this deck to sort of really, really stomp its way out, or at least with him playing it. Weeble EA regionals cool as hell. It looked it. Really good turnout. I mean, all the regionals have been really, really good turnout. And uh, Weeble, you're Bowsley, aren't you? I am. I am not. I'm not mistaken there. I think I'm not mistaken there. It's just your other name. And if you are, then this is Bowsley. He came second. I got to see a couple of the games on stream. There's a particularly like wild one of watching this kit versus like EA as Mari, which is well worth going and seeing, especially for the final turn. Um, and Bowsy will tell you this himself. He drew the exact like he clicked Nuka and drew the three cards that he needed. Like just like needed three cards to win the game or at least not to lose the game as well. And he just drew exactly the three cards that he needed. It was like quite the last turn. Holt's Pub and Summer. Looking at Fem Mercury deck from last year, not so far off. I am unsurprised. I would very much assume that you have been rocking some Fem builds. In fact, I think I've played into some of your Fem builds. But yeah, this is cool. I really like the Debbie. Like, I still can't believe how much I slated this card when it came out, and but it's actually like pretty good. And there's a lot of run events in here, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Probably even better if it was with compile, to be honest. But compile does potentially lead into other problems. Hey, Cinderin, how you doing tonight? Um, but yeah, kind of um really just I always like to see Kit doing well. So this one sort of stomping out for nothing and coming second at EA Regionals feels great. And then there was Santa's deck, which is a 45 card outfit deck. Um, so obviously the EA Asmari decks have been on 40 cards to find their like combo as fast as possible. Um, and now that seems to be moving into other worlds. Here we have the outfit playing 45 cards because you want to find the agendas. And so if you're like there's a really interesting sort of explanation here which Santa goes into why you should consider like playing under the known correct levels as you like. And here Santa says it's worth considering if you want to draw agendas, your deck is centered around rush, and you don't have more defensive cards that fit your list, which I kind of agree with. Um, like also if the deck doesn't, if you don't have lots of ways of like drawing, like if this was MBN and you got to here and you were like, well, I'll just put in 3 copies of um uh what you will call it predictive planogram or something, then that would make like a lot more sense. But um, yeah, I mean, I could kind of see like maybe if you were going to increase this, then you go to more pivots, and so that you are finding your agendas. But I guess that's interesting. I mean, this is trying to score a basalt spire out like by never advancing it, right? So you're kind of scoring out behind two pieces of ice, which is probably literally going to be a trebuchet and a border control or something like that. Um, but yeah, kind of interesting. And I mean, it's going to be really interesting if more people go here, because I know Diogenes been you know pushing for the 40 card corpse and the 45 card corpse for a long time. He's been experimenting with them a long time, and lots of people have been telling him that it's wrong. Uh, and it would be really funny if it turned out it was right. But yeah, two spinnies, yeah, could be an issue. I guess the idea here, I mean, you're playing slightly less agendas than a normal outfit, right? Because you're playing, I mean, you're playing like it's closer to the lady killer, like, agenda makeup. So it's only 10. And it kind of makes sense here. Like, there's a few things which I like with this. Basically, I think this originally wasn't an outfit list, and Charlie just put it into outfit because then you have quick money, you have access to good ice, that kind of thing. Um, and yeah, I guess maybe you're playing around punitive a bit, Turtle. That could be true. Like, you might be like certainly worried about that. Um, but it does make sense. Like, seamless launch with Atlas and Hollow Man with Atlas are both very, very good cards in terms of like, oh, I've suddenly got a two counter Atlas out of nowhere, and that will pretty much allow me to do everything else. And I reckon you could, like, if you got a two counter Atlas, probably your next turn is like tutor the one bit of ice which you need, tutor a basalt spire, stick it behind it, and then go, right? Something like that. But yeah, it's very interesting, and like, I like everything. I like things which push outside of the like scene. Like, this is the correct way, and it might be, but for sometimes it's not. There's always situations where it might not be correct. So it's nice to see people at least experimenting with that, and doing well with it as well. I mean, this came second, right? I don't know if both Abraham and Charlie were playing this deck. Unsure. Um, and they were on a pretty fun Arasana deck as well. This looks like it's a ton of fun. I mean, I'm absolutely very much Arasana pilled at the moment. Then one last thing which I saw, and it's just funny because this is, I don't know whether I should click on it or not. I think it's fine to click on it. This is a deck which has been created by a bot. Okay, this is pure bot. I'm just going to put it on screen. Don't read any of the stuff. Don't click on anything that it says. This was created by a bot to sell stuff. The worrying thing is that a bot has made this not the worst deck. Like, bots now can apparently make decks. So there we go. I found it quite funny. Hopefully I haven't like seasoned my computer with viruses by clicking on the link, but it is interesting. Okay. Uh I think that's all the like really fun stuff we need to talk about. Oh, other than, obviously, we have one regionals remaining. The North, it's in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be held in Sheffield. I believe there's 13 tickets left. I think that's about right. There's certainly like some, but not loads. And I also know that MCG, who is running it, has ordered a ton of extra prize support. He's being very shady about what this prize support is, but I can expect that it's something quite exciting. I know he's just keeping it close to his chest because he doesn't want to spoil it. he wants to make sure it gets here in time because there's always the fun with shipping price support like in the weeks before an event. Um, but yeah, so there are some tickets left for this. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be the last of the regionals of the season, potentially the last of the regionals. I mean, we've had the last regionals before. Whether we knew it was the last regionals before, we might not have. Because obviously next year there's going to be districts and things, and mega cities and all of that. So so come along. It'll be like your last chance to play in a regionals, maybe ever. Who knows? And also nationals. Yeah, UK Nats. Get your tickets for that. I will. I have actually hosted the document which I wrote somewhere, so I'll put that in the show notes, probably without forgetting this time round. Let's play a chat GPT generated deck. The moment it can generate a legal one without help. I am kind of up. I mean, that's well, it's not like Chimera works on a something. Chimera works like on a. It's not a chat GPT because it's not trying to make a real deck. It's trying to make a nonsense deck. But yeah, how much did you pay for the tube woo branding on the statuing? I see. Yes. I mean, I quite like that WT. Maybe I'll get Toby to swing that round for me and turn it into a WooTube um logo because it is like it's that's cool, right? Oh, Lucille's also posted or pinned the like UK Nats document. So if you are in the UK Nats Discord, then you can grab it there. Speaking of Discord, I think Lucy is ready to go. So I'm going to attempt to call you, Lucy, and this will go smoothly and without a hitch because that's what happens on YouTube. Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. You can hear me. This is going far too well.
Can the stream hear me?
Now that's the bigger challenge, isn't it? Someone who isn't Axu, because I don't trust anything he says. Could you let me know if you can hear Lucy and if the levels are okay? Um,
I I can hear myself,
oh,
so I'm gonna mute the stream.
that's a good sign. I have had a stream on in the background to check someone before, but it really plays with me. Awesome. Oh, and Lord Getlander's in the chat. Hello.
Aha.
We have we have a. I feel bad because I was chatting up your Ampere deck, and then the deck of the week wasn't Ampere deck, and I think everyone assumed that was your deck when I was talking about like playing this cool Ampere deck, and I. No disrespect for the person whose Ampere deck that was, I much prefer your one, which looks way more like it was kind of scoring out.
Well, Lander's Ampere deck was basically built from the ground up to beat my Wild Tree Arasana, and it successfully does that very consistently.
Nice.
So
I when I was playing against it's genuinely like about the most nervous I've ever been playing into like for a long time. And also I was playing what was I playing? I was playing like flippy shit Arasana on that day.
yeah.
And so I can like deal with almost anything, but I also kind of need to know what I'm meant to be dealing with.
Yep.
Like, do I need my cards in hand? Do I need to like not be taking these tags? Like, do I need to have clicks left once I've done this access? And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I like
And that deck is so nasty.
yeah, like I scraped a win, but there were a couple of points. Like there was at least one point where I got through like two pieces of ice, and then I just went, "I'm gonna jack out right now." And if I hadn't, I would have lost. Um,
I played against that deck, I think the game before you did, and
yes,
uh turn 1 or 2, I run and do the big world tree combo, and obviously the big get world tree on the table combo leaves you at low hand size.
yep,
And I think about jacking out, and then I say, there's no way there's a snare on top of the deck. It's a singleton deck. Head first into a Fuji, and
Oh,
that was the game.
okay, yeah, okay, nice.
So
Um,
yeah, that thing is nasty.
yeah, and you just can't like. I was like staring down a two ice remote with two face down ice, something like an upgrade and a something in a server, and it's like the amount of things. Like I had a very small amount of knowledge about this deck because I'd heard them talking about public trail into the end of the line. So I knew that there
Yep,
was an end of the line in the deck, and that was all I knew about the deck realistically. And so it's like this could be so many things. Yeah, kind
we
of
we did
terrifying.
a CO. We did a CO, I think, a week or two before, and he public trail end of the line someone on like turn 3 or 4 in a singleton deck.
Yeah,
Like, it is rough. But the thing is, it all sounds like really extreme luck, but he's actually just gotten really, really good at turning any given hand of garbage into his opponent dying, um, which is clearly a practiced skill.
yeah, and I mean, I only saw about a quarter of the deck, I think, in the end, but like it was very, it seemed very focused. Like
It
it was also, it was aggressive, it was pushing out, it wasn't like durdling and letting me like just do my own thing. I was like, no,
oh
I'm
no.
gonna have to challenge all of this stuff because like I wasn't gonna get blown out by an orbital or something. Like I just
Yep.
like something like that is gonna happen.
And topically for today, that deck began its life as a startup list in the previous
Nice.
meta. So
So what I should probably do is introduce you because like we kind of jumped straight in here. So do you prefer Lucy or Lucille or Eva or both?
I am completely indifferent
No problem because
and
I
go
think
out of my way to present both options to people. You'll notice actually on the NSG website, if you look at my profile, I'm listed as Lucille, and then the very first word of the description is Lucy. So
yeah, I did notice that because I was like I definitely flip back and forward between what I call you when you're on stream and I'm like I should actually check what you go by. I
so I
I
tend
looked
to
at the
go.
NSG thing and I was like, well, this doesn't help me at all.
Yep. So I tend to go by Lucy more in real life.
Got you.
People don't tend to call me Lucille in person, but it's what I get called the most online. So I'm very indifferent when we're in kind of a weird hybridy space like we are here.
Got you. Yeah, fine. So I mean, I'll probably flip back and forward, and
Completely fine.
so why have I got you on today? That's probably the big question. So, Lucy, you're part of the start. Is it start? I want to get the words right. Startup curation team. Is that
Yep,
correct?
we couldn't
That's
we couldn't be called the startup balance team because then we'd have the exact same initials as the standard one.
very true.
So we're the startup curation team.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And the startup curation team was put together not that long ago, right? Like a month or something ago, like 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was. I think we formally announced we existed right at the end of August. Um, and we had existed for about a week and a half to 2 weeks before then.
Got you. Yes. Here we go. So rebooting. There's the original. I can't see which date that was, but that is not very far back uh in the blog. And so the team is yourself. It's Gyrometrics and Stewed.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that right?
I have no idea. I've gone with Stwide historically, but
Okay.
I
Well, they
honestly
are
have
in the
never
chat.
checked.
Okay, they are in the chat. So maybe you can tell us now. Is it Stewed like a
Yeah,
real dog?
how is the Y pronounced?
Is it yeah? Is it Stwide? It could be a lot of it,
It could.
I'm not very good at pronunciation at the best of times. So
So the
um
problem here is we all have our real names on the NSG Discord. So
right.
I've been using not the digital name
Yeah,
in conversations, so it hasn't come up.
they'll come up. And Gyrometrics I've met on a met a few times. Very big fan of Atea,
Yep,
from what I remember. Um, but yes, so you've been busy little bunnies, between the three of you. So two uh two NSG articles came out last week, both
yep,
about startup. The first was written by yourself, and it's this one here. It is called A Love Letter to Startup. And
yep,
I mean, do you want to give us the keynotes
yep.
on kind of what the article is about?
Sure. So I think some context. This article began as a very, very long, rambly post I had intended to put up on my personal blog at one point, uh, and was gradually honed and refined by the rest of the startup team alongside me, as well as the fantastic editing support we had um, from the content team at NSG into the article you see here that sort of outlines our collective feelings on what the role of startup is. Because this is something that we almost find ourselves in a position of having to defend more often than we would like to kind of justify the format's existence. And I understand where some of the opposition comes from. You know, there's people that worry about splitting a community with multiple formats and a fairly small game. There's people that sort of worry about the health of the format. There's a variety of reasons, but we often find ourselves in that position. And so I wanted to take the approach of presenting why I personally like startup as a format, independent from my enjoyment of standard, as a different way to engage with Netrunner, in the same way that Eternal is a different way to engage with Netrunner.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of the sort of high level overview of the points we set out, the first one is learnability. I don't remember what order they ended up in the final article, but one of them is learnability, which is Netrunner's a game where so many cards are played face down, and as a new player, it can be really, really intimidating going into the standard card pool. And I've had feedback from newer players that oftentimes it's kind of embarrassing, right? Getting blown out by a card you didn't even know existed. And startup massively cuts down the card pool size if you do want to learn it ahead of time, and it speeds up the process of learning what you might face check by being smaller, even if you don't.
Hmm.
This also leads to it being much easier to deck build in because instead of Netrunner DB blowing you out with 700 cards, only half of which are remotely playable, you have a much more kind of compact card pool. And then on top of that, the lower power level lets some cards that are too weak to kind of shine in standard because they've fallen below the expected power level to still find uses in startup. To the point where people were trying to evaluate whether or not professional contacts is worth playing the other day. So, these cards that really don't get time in the sun in standard can really shine in the format because of the lower power level and the, in theory, sort of flatter power curve of the format. And so those are the really big selling points for me for the format.
Cool. And I mean, I like that. I've had times where I've really enjoyed playing startup. I actually haven't played much startup in the most recent, like since RWR's come out. And I think mainly because I've still I still feel like I haven't scratched the surface of standard in RWR. I feel like there are archetypes which I haven't even kind of got to. And maybe that's because Shaper's so good at the moment, so I'm kind of like doing so much stuff. Like I can play any Shaper ID I want to, and it can do stuff. And I haven't had that for
Yep.
a long time, so I might just be a bit too excited by the whole sort of Shaper's good currently
So
thing.
there's that, but there's also archetypes that can exist within startup that just completely fall flat on their face in standard. So to appeal to your kind of shaper sensibilities, I've been having a lot of success with Living Mural Umbrella Arasana since the ban
Wow.
list. To give you an
Is
idea,
Piranha's not a card in startup right now?
it is, but
Okay.
MBN is not frequently something you're scared of running into.
Okay. Fine. Fair enough.
Um, yeah, and also we do have tools to mitigate high strength. And a living mural and an egret don't have the same, like, sorry, umbrella, whichever one can boost, one of them can boost. You can get around it.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah,
you're often
living
running sort
living
of,
mural you can boost. And yeah, sorry, that's
yeah,
I was kind of focused on the umbrella, but yeah, living mural
yeah,
is a card that we have not seen, and I'm kind of unsurprised. Like you can play Ika, why are
Ika,
you playing
exactly,
why are you playing living
exactly.
mural? Um,
But
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 in
this is
startup
where
you can.
the smaller format means we don't have Ika, right?
Yeah,
Um, and Living Mural has some really cool text on it. Did you
yeah,
know Living Mural breaks ice that it's not hosted on?
yeah. I mean I do, but I don't know if I've ever done it because I think I played it. I think I played it in the very first Arasana deck I ever put together as a like secondary breaker. I don't think I installed it, and then yeah, because I haven't been doing enough, playing enough startup. We'll have to have a look. I definitely have a an Arasana startup deck in my JNet, so we'll have to see
Yeah.
if it was on Living Mural because it might have been.
The recommendation I was going to have if we do some startup building later was to sort of think of some cards that you wanted to see work in standard but haven't, and see if we can make them work, because that is the big sell of the format for me in a way.
Yeah, and I definitely sort of really appreciate that. Um I like limited formats for that exact reason that you sometimes can find completely different archetypes which just wouldn't work outside of standard. Um but they kind of work a lot better because you're dealing with different corps or different runners. Maybe you don't have to deal with like one overly powerful breaker, for instance. Like
Yep.
you're
They actually have to pay to put the Labizame on the table.
yeah. Oh, is Spark not? You can't Spark.
Nope.
It's not Spark, is it?
Nope.
Um,
There are two ways to get Labizame on the table. You can pay for it, or you can
Test run it.
wizard's chest it.
Oh right. You can. Well, yeah. So you can test run it, but then you've got to put it
You can
back
test
on
run it,
last
but then you've got to put it back anyway. Yeah.
time. You I wonder where the end of turn triggers are. I assume it's off. I assume this wouldn't work, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just trying to work it out. I assume that if you
But
run all three centrals after test running, then you're putting it back on. You put the Labissime back onto the stack, but that happens after you're the last window where you could hit the
ah,
wizard's chest.
yeah. Because wizard's chest is a paid ability,
Right? Yeah, it's not
not
a
a conditional. If it was when your turn ends, like Shichinyo,
yeah
you could do it. But because it's a trash paid ability,
fair.
the timing doesn't work out advantageously. I don't think. No. Yeah, no,
I
you
I
wouldn't be
would
able to
assume
because
it's not
it's
correct. I would assume you can't, but like I suddenly, it's one of those things which I'm suddenly like, oh, I
you.
wonder if
So
I can do that.
you would need. No, you can't. In my head, I was like, you would need to find a way to make the runs on the corpse turn, which an offer
Hold
you
up, wait a second,
can't
wait a second, wait a
refuse.
second.
It's an old card, but
No, no, no. There might be a window there because
um,
is it the same window where you can pop a stone ship as lat after you discard?
hold on. Timing structure of the runner's turn.
Yeah, like when
Um,
it's more importantly is
no,
when does it go bad?
your turn ends trigger
Right.
is after the discard phase paid ability window.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
It's discard, paid ability window, lose
Yeah.
any unspent clicks, turn ends trigger, start corpse turn.
Ah, balls. Oh well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, and this is when your turn ends. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Well, we can't do that. Oh, David is coming in with retrieval run.
Retrieval run. You can if you get it into bin, you can retrieval run it on, which was
Okay.
another one people tried. There were a few experimental cheated onto the table, and I think the consensus has coalesced around just make the money.
Yeah.
Whatever effort you're going to put in to put it onto the table is more effort than clicking a liberated twice.
Yeah. And I mean, Shaper can make good money right now, right?
Shaper is by far the richest faction in Startup.
Yeah.
So,
We can just Muse and Coalescence and Aesop's our way to pop
yep.
the credits if we want to.
The Aesop's engine is the most consistent economy in the format.
I mean, it always was, and then they decided to nearly ban it, and then they kind of brought it back. But it. I feel like Aesop's, as long as it's not like Aesop's has really moved on as well from where it was. Aesop's used to be like the epitome of install runner. And I think like with Haley gone, your best way of like getting all of your like you actually have to do stuff as well. You can't just sit back and do nothing anymore. You have
Yeah.
to work for your Aesop's bonus.
Well,
So
well, you
or,
said you
or do
didn't
you disagree?
experience Startup. You said you didn't experience Startup before the ban list much, so you may not have seen this, but the top tiers of runner deck were sit back and do nothing with Aesop's and sit back and do nothing with Sebastião and
Right.
just make a load of money so that you could contest the punitive server.
Got you. Yes, I have. I am aware that punitive, and we'll get on to punitive because I think
Yeah.
yeah, we probably need to talk about that. So that was your sort of love letter to startup, which I think is like a really nice way of just some people aren't going to play startup. That's absolutely fine. Some people are going to be standard, but it opens some people's minds to exactly why people are interested in playing it and keeping it around.
Yep.
Um, and then on the same day, right? These articles came out at the same
Yep.
time, I think. Yeah.
Exact same
Um,
time. Yep.
we got a startup balance update. Now, this is quite cool because this was speedy. In terms of the fact that you had been working as a team for sort of less than 2 months. Um, but I quite like that because I think like the words around the water cooler about startup has been that the format's maybe a little bit busted at the moment. It's a
It
little bit skew
Yep.
with and
I
if it
I made no hiding of the fact that I thought people probably shouldn't be playing it, which is a
yeah
shame for how much I love the format.
yeah I mean we're like you've written uh a thing called a love letter to startup and you're at this on the other hand you're going but probably don't play it right now
Well,
which
so this is
which
the
is
thing
quite
is
funny.
I make a point in that love letter that I am talking about a hypothetically well balanced startup.
Yeah, fine.
Because one of the big points of comparison we make is to sort of limited formats in other card games like draft and sealed, um, which tend to be the main way those get play, and those have kind of an internal balance by rarity, right? And if you were cracking packs and weren't able to assemble the perfect deck every time, startup probably would have been in a fine place. The problem was we exist in a world where that's not how people engage with the format, which means every other game you're slamming into the best deck in the format, which was just a massive outlier best deck in the format.
Got you. Um, so so we had this balance update, which I'll go through. We'll go through a little bit more specifically. So we've got points on here of what what you're trying to do with as the balance team with the startup format. So that includes um keeping startup as like a learnable environment, something that people can kind of jump in and not feel too overwhelmed by. Keeping deck building kind of um, easy enough or simple enough to deck build with. Um, Having this kind of slightly flatter power curve where we maybe don't have such big um, power spikes. You're not having to like deal with EA as Mari as your like second game into the format.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's gonna
And
kill you on turn 7 except maybe a Jichinho.
yeah, I've come up with something which might, but we'll find
Oh,
out. Like
okay, we'll
I've
see. We'll
I've
see.
got some ideas.
You
Um,
brewing mindscaping. We've all
yeah.
been brewing mindscaping. It's had varying degrees of success.
um, and and yeah, this kind of sort of lower power level as well, which is an interesting thing because I think Andre brought this up on Tuesday or Thursday, but in previous times of startup, we had a time when you had standard, which and startup almost felt like the more powerful
Yep.
of, of the kind of card pools for a small time because we
Yep.
had endurance on one side, we had Drago on the other side, and they were not banned.
Yep.
Um,
And then they got banned, and we had one of the best startup metas that's ever existed. So
I could imagine that. I think I played a tiny bit in one after it was banned, but it wasn't a particularly long
no, it was
period.
late, but a lot of people were kind of internally playing with that ban list anyway.
Yeah,
Um, so, for example, my local meta was playing with that ban list, and I had a local startup meta that was doing really well at the time, and there were some great games in that format.
yeah. Um, and yeah, I could imagine it. And I mean, I personally really enjoyed the endurance startup meta for a period, mainly because for quite a time I could play kit at a really high level. Like you could
Yep.
like I mean you could kind of play anything if you put endurance in it and it was going to be pretty good,
Yeah.
but it turned out like if you had a big boat and you it meant that you could play kit and you only ever needed like you played boat, you played hyperbaric, and then that was your entire breaker suite for the entire game.
Yep. And you
Um,
just ate through everything.
yeah,
And then, as a response, the corpse stopped putting down ice and started putting down Drago, and you die to End of the Line on turn 4.
yeah, and stuff like that. I remember like Swifty playing like nothing but thimble rigs, not thimble rigs, like pop up windows. He was like, well, if you're gonna eat through my ice anyway, all of my ice is gonna be gash. It was like pop up windows and
Yep.
hives and nothing else.
Yep.
Um,
I think that was the correct way to play ice in that meta.
yeah, yeah, it's like if you want to pay 8 to break my thimble rig, my pop up windows, then that's brilliant. Like,
Which really is a stark difference to the meta that we just banned out.
yes. So we can talk about that. So free cards were banned, and then
Yep.
something else has happened, which we might need to talk about a bit longer.
Yep.
Firstly, Tributary was banned. I don't think we need to talk about this. Tributary is banned in standard. We all realise that it's a little bit too
Well,
good.
Tributary is interesting, right? Because
Okay.
Tributary wasn't doing much in startup
Okay. Interesting.
because the tier 0 deck that every corp was playing didn't have spare influence for it.
Fine. Yeah, because you're not putting it in Wayland, are you? Like, you just can't.
Exactly. And so it was one we talked about a lot, and it basically came down to we tested and I say we big shout out to not just the startup um curation team, but also all of us were drafting in players from our local metas to help us just grind games
Yeah.
to refine these ban lists down. And we tested a little bit, and it became very apparent that if you don't get rid of it, the format still has major health issues.
Yeah. And
So
I
despite it not doing too much, we didn't want to just move from one format health problem into another.
That's absolutely fair. I also think that like keeping it around potentially goes against the idea of this like highly learnable environment just
Yep,
because one of the big reasons that Tributary was banned in the first place was the fact that it's opening up all of these possibilities on like before every run a turn, like the corp has to think about whether they're moving to Tributary, the runner has to think about where they're running. It's really kind of grinding out the game
yep,
and adding a lot of extra mental fatigue, which is just like worth avoiding
yep.
for when you're trying to make this.
Especially when, even more so than in standard, Crim's only real economy options are run based.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like red team or bust, right? You're like red team, carpe
Yeah,
diem.
red team, no carpe diem, red team,
Oh,
and then
step
jailbreak. Let's
festing.
be honest, that card is blue. It's not actually not jailbreak. Sorry, daily card. What am I thinking of? Dirty Laundry, words.
Dirty Laundry, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Dirty Laundry, let's be honest, that's a blue card. It might be neutral, but, like,
yeah, yeah. It really
um,
yeah. There's not many crim cards with money on, and those that
or
do,
you're playing as, Ken, and you really need to get those run events off, like, it's rough.
yeah. Um, I mean, Mita's asking how Crim plays without Boomerang. They did it before. They've
Yep,
been given a ton of new tools, so I'm sure they can work
they
something
were.
else.
I don't know if they use any of them, but they have them.
They've been given
There's a
them.
lot of reg creme.
Interesting.
A lot of
Um,
just good stuff creme is
play
the answer
out of
to what are
Zaya?
they doing. Yeah, Zaya. The main crim decks we're seeing are sort of a good stuff Zaya deck and then a Jachinho Steve deck.
Right. Yep.
And the
Um,
Jachinho Steve actually uses the bypass tools a lot more than the good stuff Zaya because the good stuff Zaya is kind of looking for consistency rather than um, that kind of burst that you get
yeah.
out of a lot of the bypass tools.
I mean, you also you want to stack a few bypass tools in your Jatinio deck just so you can get your Jatinios back. Is
Yes.
like a very worthwhile thing. Okay, so Tributary banned. Fairly easy. I don't think anyone was going to be too up in arms about that. Apart from maybe Gyrometrics, because it's quite a good Ateo card.
Yeah.
But there we go.
We There was a long period where our ban list was just absolutely murdering Atea for BTL's crimes. Um, we talk about it in the article, but we tested a Charlotte ban at one point. Like
Oof.
we were really like it took us a while to figure out how to not just massacre Atea.
Yeah, I'm really interested that you tried that. I'm also glad that you didn't because I really think that you probably shaft the whole of Jinteki by doing that. But I
Um,
don't know.
Asset Jinteki can still get by on cohort.
Right.
But yeah, it's rough.
Okay. Now, um, second card that was banned. It's another piece of ice. It is Pharaohs. So Pharaohs, I'll bring it up on stream. I'm sure everybody is fully aware of it.
Yep.
Um, this is kind of an interesting card because this is a card which like did not see play for quite a long time and has started poking its way into the limelight, and it
Yep.
might be a Thessalim thing because you can't bypass it. It might be that people have stopped playing Botulus or are playing
So
less Botulus.
I think there's a few things. So in terms of it not seeing play in standard, are you familiar with the phrase "dies to Doomblade" when talking about Magic the Gathering cards?
Uh, only from the Netrunner DB, the like NRDB deck list, which was called Dive
Sure,
to Doomblade.
sure. It's there are some cards that look really good, but they have a fundamental problem of something just blows them out, and this dies to Boomerang, right?
Yes.
And it kind of has that as a big problem, and a lot of the meta has boomerangs in their deck. It's a big investment to just walk through for the runner to just be able to walk through.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a tag and then I'm gonna clear the tag, and it cost me like
Exactly.
4 credits to get through your like 10 credit ice,
10 credit ice. Yeah, exactly. Um, for
10 credit and
startup,
4 click ice, and
yep,
like that is a big investment. Okay,
it is
fair
it
enough.
is a big investment. For startup, it wasn't seeing as much play for a few reasons. It was still very good in the last meta,
Mm,
um, but you had Hush to make it
right.
sad. You had Turbine to make it sad. Not super sad, but still a bit sad.
Yeah.
Um, you had this is when my brain completely blanks on how we were dealing with it. You had pinhole threading to ignore it.
Yeah.
You had poison vial plus slap vandal for a run there,
Yeah. Although, well, you probably want it to be Poison Vial plus Botulus, otherwise you need to be
or
Poison
poison
Vial
vial.
plus
Yeah.
Slap Vandal plus Hush, which I guess is a way. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
or you could like just kept I think there was some Quetzal decks. There was some
There
Quetzal
was.
Poison Vial decks
Yep.
which were around, which were like,
And
I'm just gonna deal with your Pharos.
most importantly, you had I walk through this because I have a Bankar on the table.
Right. Yes. Very true. That's a pretty good way of getting through it. Um, Now, obviously, we've lost all of those.
Yeah,
We
it's Botulus and late game Pressure Spike.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is like we kind of got given this like perfect tool, and by we I mean Shaper's got given this
Shaper,
perfect
yeah.
tool, or what seems like a perfect tool to beat a Pharos with, because it's like, oh, look at this, I
Yep,
boost all the way up to strength.
yep.
Um, and if that was a threat free,
3, yeah,
then
if it was threat 3, it would be viable, but
yeah,
threat 4, especially in a meta dominated by 6x3 decks,
yeah,
which we'll obviously talk about in a bit, um, it just, you know, it wasn't that great, which left you with Botulus. And right now, in startup, decks are very influence pressed, and just having to run Botulus to deal with Pharos
yeah.
is just too much of a tax on the card pool.
Yeah, and I can see that because I mean, uh, yeah, your ways of dealing with this are incredibly hard. Like, I mean, unless you've got like 8 leech counters like floating
Yep.
around or something
And
along those lines.
and some of the decks were starting to cut Hollow Men and Splash Magnet just
Just to deal with the botuluses.
just to rip off the Botulus.
Wow, disgusting. Um,
So, as it
yeah,
was the only real way to deal with it for a lot of decks.
yeah, and like what other like our normal icebreakers in the format. Like, I mean, you could maybe bypass it with a Kurapira every now and then,
Well, yeah, this
but
is the thing is if you want to look at the fractors in the format, right? Um, you have got Lobizime is separate. That card, its cost is kind of independent, and we were seeing hard install Lobizime as an answer to Pharos.
yeah, because it
Um,
boosts pretty well, right? Like, I think it's only like
yep.
4 to get to strength, maybe like something like that, maybe
Yeah, it's strength 2, so
strength
you
2.
need no, it's yeah, 4 to get to strength, and then 3 to break. So
Yeah.
7, which is still money, but like, better than what you're paying for it on a cleaver.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Pressure Spike, which we've talked about, really needed to be threat 3 to be a good tool. You're not breaking it with Cleaver. You're not breaking it with Marjana. You're not breaking it with Kuroda. You can't break it with Banner, which means you're bypassing it occasionally with Kurapira.
yeah,
And
and
the
that
rest of the
really
time,
is
you're
it, isn't
being
it?
miserable with Kurapira.
Mm-hmm. And those decks which are playing like Feroses tend to not be playing a bunch of small little barriers which you can
No,
charge at
I
with
can tell you the
Kurapura
barriers
on.
in those decks. They were Pharos,
Yep,
Logjam, which you
yep,
would install Advance, and then Res, and then Treeline.
yep.
And Treeline, which only ever hit the table if you got an absolute brick draw and were desperate to get an ice on HQ.
Right.
And other
Um,
line was otherwise was just used to advance the Logjams and the Pharoses.
yeah, kind of makes sense. So this card had to go. So that kind of makes sense, and I can see like you just need a single triple advanced Pharos, and you can do some pretty disgusting things. If a run has to run through that more than twice, they're pretty much
Well,
screwed.
and it isn't just the Pharos, it's the fact that Logjam being printed massively increased the consistency of get one massive barrier in front of the server.
Right, yeah, and also
Because now
make
you can
sure,
run 6 giant barriers in the deck for
yeah,
no influence.
and make sure
Whereas without it, you have to import a Bran or a Botu.
true. And it makes the whole tree line like it makes your tree lines better as well because
Exactly.
you can use them on either.
It
So
was just a perfect storm of synergy for those decks to have a 9 card package that basically meant that you could, within a few turns, have an incredibly expensive to run server in almost all games.
Meteor is asking why Feros and not Logjam. They were playing both Meteor. The like the
Yeah,
the like big Wayland problem decks were BTL decks, and they were playing 3 copies of Feros and 3 copies of Logjam, and then three
and
copies of Treeline.
there's a thing that's been sort of spoken about, which is the idea against people not liking banning core set cards, right? Not liking banning out of System Gateway or
Hmm.
um, banning out of System Update. Well, I can see why. but one of our goals for startup is for it to be a celebration of the new set.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean we're always, all things gonna being equal, gonna choose to ban a core set card over a new set card, but we want the cycle to be able to shine. And logjam is a cool thing in the cycle. It is a big part of New strategy, and we don't really want to kill New for BTL's crimes in the same way
Hmm.
we were trying hard not to kill Atea for BTL's crimes. And so, really, it's the Pharos that is the sort of clear target out of that package.
Yeah, and I think that that makes sense. And because, like, I would assume, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I would assume that the cards which are gateway cards, when a new set, when Dawn comes out and everything rotates and changes round, very potentially these cards come off the list because they are either less of a problem at that point, because something else has come out which might help, or because other things are gonna be more of an issue. Um, I
So
would,
we're discussing our strategy for when Dawn comes out right now. We don't have a conclusive answer, but I think there is a broad disposition towards wiping the ban list clean when a new set comes out to see how things perform.
yeah,
The exception might be is if our pre-release testing just heavily indicates that something is still a problem, like I expect Tributary to be,
yeah.
which isn't
Wouldn't
isn't
Tributary go
not
anywhere? No,
sorry,
because
no,
we're not
nope.
getting a rotation next time, are we?
We are stuck with Liberation for a very long time if the startup format stays in its current shape.
Right.
So Tributary, no promises. It might come off the ban list. It'll depend on what we see, but I wouldn't be surprised if it stays on it.
And then one last card, which I think is what most people have found the most interesting out of the three in terms of these,
Yep.
is Creative Commission, which I actually think is quite a nice choice because I assume that this is just we're gonna. Well, I don't need to assume. It says it right here. But this is just to bring Shaper down a notch, and based on what you're just saying, it's like obviously you could look at things like Trick Shot, for instance, or the Muse the Muse
Aesop's engine.
kind of engine.
Yep.
But again, that's taking cards from the shiny new set, which starter players are gonna want to be playing with, and actually, Creative Commission is probably just a card which you probably only see in Shaper, like maybe occasionally in other things, but
So
it's really just a
it was
Shaper
getting
Shaper
splashed.
to gamble.
It was getting splashed, but it was getting splashed. It getting splashed. It leaving just means the decks that were splashing it for equal splash something different, and it doesn't hurt them that much.
Yeah.
The
So
real problem was where it was consistently copies 4 to 6 of Shogamble for
yeah.
Shaper. And it also comes down to philosophy. Is sort of Shaper is meant to be this put your cards on the table, build your engine, and let your engine go faction, right? That's the power fantasy of the faction.
Hmm.
And Creative Commission is not that. Creative Commission is like a burst economy card that feels very kind of out of place to the faction as well.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I also think that like I liked it. So when it was it's Gateway, right? When it came out,
Yeah,
and I know that the Shaper Gateway set like kind of came together all pretty much as one and was pretty much good to go from the start. I remember reading in an early article about it. And the one thing which I do like, I like the fact that Shaper were getting some money.
yeah.
It's a you have to look a long time to find a green card which had credits on it, which wasn't
You
Magnum
can,
Opus,
you play Proco.
or Proco, yeah. And but B, I kind of found that it did go with the Shaper philosophy because the whole thing about Shaper was like I'm gonna plan out my turn, or
Yeah,
more importantly, I'm gonna plan out the next like 7 of my turns, like pot smoking shapers are.
yep.
And the whole idea is like, right, this is like, this is everything I'm gonna go do in my turn. It's all gonna go perfectly to plan. I don't need to worry about like barreling into something and losing stuff to damage, or like not being able to get in or anything like that. It's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna play a creative commission
Yep.
last stick. Um,
And I think I'd agree with you if the design of the card was harder to play. If it cost a bit more but gave you more credits, um, in a way that meant you actually had to plan your turn to have that cost,
right.
then I think I agree with that. But what board state can you not just play it on, right? If you
I
accidentally took a tag and you need to clear it, it's pretty niche.
I did have a board state where I ended up with a creative commission in hand that I needed to play and not the credit left to play it.
Not the credit, sure. But it's a
But
pretty rare board
it is
state to
pretty rare.
occur,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's pretty much always just an incredibly reliable, cheap bounce back economy option.
Yeah. And I think
And
that's why I really like it. Like, I currently in my Arasana, and I know you were playing around with the
I
flippy shit list.
I've
Um
been playing that thing a slightly more consistent version of since they announced that World Tree, in fact, since slightly before they announced World Tree was going away.
yeah, same.
Because I had
I
been
haven't put it
predicting
down.
for a long time, even before I joined NSG, that I was, World Tree was not surviving to Worlds. And so for me, Southeast Regionals was kind of my last hurrah at playing World Tree Arasana. And then after that, I pivoted and started practicing your Q Loop deck.
I'd be interested in seeing what changes you made, because I am now very set on where my version
Oh,
is going,
interesting.
and I I am like I haven't had so much fun and been consistently winning with a deck for quite a long time. So it feels good.
So my changes are really straightforward. I cut I cut the SMC, I cut a Nuka,
Yep.
and I added another lily pad and another UAV.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
I value the consistency of getting UAV on the table as soon as possible and getting a lily pad on the table as soon as possible more than those other cards. The SMC, I think, is the most likely to come back just because there's some board states where you really want to be able to get a card you can keep. Maybe you've got some trick shot credit spare,
Yep.
and a Muse in hand, and you're just looking for something to dump it to, and you don't want to do it to a Muse unless there's a Trojan, and none of the Trojans are expensive. Um, but the for me, the draw you get from Nuka is not as value as the consistent long term draw you get from having a lily pad early. And getting that UAV down so early, I could really feel the difference between the games where you find the UAV and the games where it sits bottom half of your deck.
That's very interesting. So I'm not going to tell you everything that I've changed, but
Okay.
I will tell you a few things. Firstly, I'm now on free ASOPs.
I also considered going to 3 ASOPs. So,
Okay. I am now set on free ASOPs. 2 UAV is correct. I'll leave you with your third UAV if you want it. I also
yep,
cut the SMC.
okay,
I'm
we agree on the SMC
yeah.
cut.
I'm
What are you doing
SMC
when you
less.
like trick shot into nothing and have 6 credits and nothing to do? Just being sad?
It's very rare that I have nothing to do with those credits.
Okay.
I think it's very, like, I've either got Q loop potential, or I've got, like, sometimes, yeah, okay, I've found nothing to trash in R&D, and I've run and they've rezzed the spin doctor or something like that, and it's like, fine. But I don't want to I don't want to like I don't want to force myself into using an SMC for those
For
purposes.
value, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see enough value there. I actually think Vanuka is really important, and it's really important for just um a couple of matchups, and that's why it's remained in there just as a
Ah,
one-off.
I've
Um,
resigned myself to losing to Asmari.
I'm not worried about Asmari. I'm
Oh,
more
interesting.
worried about things like PE. The Nuka is one of the best cards in your deck if you're playing
Yeah,
against PE.
yeah. Plus 3
Um,
hit points. Yeah.
and against, um just in case they ever like pop back again, um like lady killer style outfit. Now I'm not worried about outfit, but I am worried about
I was
like
gonna say.
City Works product type things.
Yeah.
So I'm I like Vanuka. I have changed the Breaker Suite.
I have got notes on changing the breaker suite written down that I've been meaning to
Yeah.
test. So
Okay. I have changed the Breaker Suite. I'm spending no influence on breakers. I'll tell you that
my new
much.
breaker suite also has no
Okay.
influence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I'm curious what you've moved the influence to because I haven't tested this version out, but I have thoughts.
Yeah. Basically I've had four influence floating for a while, which has been changed to a variety of different things, and it's now just genuinely a like read the meta and work out what you're going to put in.
Yeah.
Um,
Do
I've
you
also
need plot? Do you need,
yeah.
X, Y, Z?
Um, I've also changed the win con.
Ooh. So WinCon about this deck is something that I've been thinking about a lot because Conduit is like great fun and all, and I love sending it Conduit. And the turns where you just click Conduit 3 times and see like 8 cards because you keep hitting trashables always feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But they do Ice R&D. You
Yeah.
don't get to do that for very long.
Yeah. Um, I might, I might,
Keep
because
it a
I know
secret.
you've
Keep it a
been playing
secret.
it.
I'll see it.
I'm not gonna spurt it all out on stream, but I might drop a few little things your way,
Oh,
in a
yeah.
DM at some point.
uh, Happy to. I'll
Um,
I'll play it on a Smurf and keep your secrets for
yeah.
for nationals.
Okay. Um, so
Startup.
startup. Yeah, we were meant to be talking about startup. Right. Now, here's the big change. So we've had some cards
Yeah.
banned. Everyone's seen banned cards before. We can deal with that. We now have the new following deck building restriction for startup corp decks. A startup corp deck can only contain a maximum of 3 agenda cards with a printed agenda point value of 3 or greater.
How
Really
many
holding
times did you how
really
many times
holding
did you
out
have to
for
read that sentence to
only
understand it?
one. Only one.
Good. Good, because we workshopped that sentence so much and it went through so many iterations to land where it was.
I like the fact that it's holding out for the like return of government takeover here, like or we don't have any greater than 3 agenda
And
point
3. Yep.
at the moment.
Yep.
um, but yeah, okay. So this is this is where the list probably, or this is where the post probably gets its most controversial and its most interesting and what have you.
Yep.
Obviously this is a huge change. Um, I am going to come straight in there, and I think you have already answered this, but I'm going to get you to answer it directly.
Yep.
Do you think that this is contradicting your idea of keeping things as beginner friendly as possible?
Nope.
Okay, tell me why.
And I'm going to tell you why. Netrunner already has a block when you learn deck building in a way that other card games often don't.
Hmm.
And that block is that you have to learn the influence system.
Yeah, and also
And so there
possibly
is
the agenda point system.
and also agenda points. And so there are already things you have to learn before you start assembling a deck, especially a corp deck. This just adds a new one of those, and it bolts right onto the fact that you already needed to learn the sort of agenda spreads that are legal. It just sits right alongside there as another thing that goes on the learning stack that you were already going through.
Okay. Um,
Whereas other card games, Magic, you're told, hey, put this many lands in the deck and then fill it with your favorite cards. And the deck will be bad, but it'll be legal. Netrunner already has that roadblock to deck legality. And so making that speed bump ever so slightly higher, we don't think has a huge impact on the ease of deck building.
cool. I have follow-up questions. Um, One, did you consider banning send a message?
Yes, we tested it.
Why did it not work? Was it because MBN just can't play an illegal agenda suite?
Yeah, and NBN has to like play some. They lose their ability to do agenda compression, and also salvo testing is miserable, and so it also makes purple kind of miserable.
Um, yeah, I mean, like what, miserable as the corp?
Yeah, both. Like it's such a kind of sacky card that it doesn't feel great to play against it if it's just being used for agenda compression, and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel great to put it in your deck just to get agenda compression.
hey, this is like it's just like the old days though, you know. You had to put 3 copies of something in your deck. Like
Yeah,
you'd play the cleaners because ugh, because you could,
yeah,
or because you had to
yeah,
put something
100%.
in.
But
But yes, okay,
we
that's fair.
considered banning send a message. We also considered banning all of the liberation 3 pointers.
That's
And by that I mean we considered banning the good liberation 3 pointers, and salvo testing got added to the list for consistency.
fair enough. And I do I get salvo testing. I think is like very much the out and out because I think like every other bit of core damage anything is gone now, right? Like
Yeah,
I
it
like
was a
there's
huge, not technically, but like pretty much.
there's really very little point to like you can't even end of the line people anymore. So you
No, so
can't.
the four threshold isn't as good.
Yeah,
There is still a little bit of core damage floating about. There's salvo testing, there's Jaggerundi, and there's see how they run. Obviously, you can't play salvo testing and see how they run in the same
yeah.
deck, but Jaggerundi does see play.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
could imagine that.
but
That's a tag punishment card in a sense.
yes,
Um, okay, cool. So, um,
but yeah, core damage doesn't really make a huge amount of sense for liberation as a cycle.
yeah.
It doesn't have the support to make it worth doing.
Um, and so this massively or significantly, let's not say massively, let's say significantly changes a lot of deck building. We've already touched on it,
Yep.
or we've already more than touched on it. Like one of the biggest issues in startup has been the fact that I mean it was always kind of going to be an issue because all the gateways are 40 card IDs. And so
Yes.
if you have the availability of playing 6 3 pointers, you're always going to be able to play 6 3 pointers.
Yes. I think given a time machine, I would love to have been in a position to push for System Gateway to be, 20 cards larger and not print 40 card IDs. But that's the core set we have inherited
Yeah.
from previous NSG design.
I think it's still good, and I think it hasn't been an issue literally until now.
I
Um
agree. I
because
well,
last
I
last
think
last last rotation we no one could play like there wasn't any punitive because no one could play six. No one had access to that many
no,
5 3s.
no, they weren't in startup. And I think there's an argument that these kind of decks are toxic in standard as well. It's just harder to see because standard has printed so much multi-access that win on centrals remains viable despite it.
Mm,
Whereas startup has so little multi-access right now that it exacerbates it further.
yes. What is the multi access in startup right now?
Okay, buckle up. It's not a good list.
Is it Trick Shot, Maker's Eye, and Cataloger if that counts?
So
And Mercury?
it it is. Hold on, let me pull up the list. Um, Cupulation,
Yep.
Manuel,
Yep.
Eye for an Eye,
Yeah.
Trick Shot, good card.
Yep. Okay.
Mary, good card.
Yep.
Darklands Pass,
Uh-huh.
Conduit, the only big repeatable one in the format.
Right. Yep.
Jailbreak,
Yep.
Legwork,
Yep.
Maker's Eye, Eru, Mercury, and Beatrice.
So you're like,
It's
yeah.
the girls package, and
Yeah.
then a handful of events, and then Cupulation, Trick Shot, the Shaper cards that, some of them are blue, but like the Shaper cards.
Yeah. And realistically, you're only like permanent one. Your only ones which are going to stick on the table is either Conduit or like Mary plus either Eru or Beatrice, right?
Beatrice, yeah, exactly. It's the girls package or it's Conduit are your reliable ones, which
Yeah.
is isn't It's more, I think, when you contrast it with the consistency of the twinning Jezva engines that a lot of decks were on in the previous startup meta, the
Hmm.
consistency of the just touch cards win con is down a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more pieces to assemble in the form of Mary plus another source of multi-access. Um, or it relies on conduit, which relies on you being able to make successful runs, which, as we established, was a difficult thing to do in the pre-ban list meta.
Yeah, you stick one triple advanced Pharos on R&D, and your chances of charging a conduit are pretty much gone.
Yes.
Um,
At least your
okay,
chances of doing it repeatedly.
and we no longer have Hermes. No, we do have Hermes now, right? Hermes
We do
is
have Hermes.
okay.
Yes.
Um, not that I
Yep.
don't know why I think about that, but I kind of lump it in with multi-access when I'm thinking about multi-access because it kind of
It's a run consistency tool.
yeah. Okay, so so what's this gonna do to Corpse going forward?
Yep.
Is the
So
question.
it increases corp agenda density to a point where win on centrals and win on touching cards becomes a viable strategy for runners again, which
Hmm.
is important because that's always been a very fundamental part of how you can play Netrunner. Is, oh, they've built the giant unassailable Doom remote. Cool. I'll go win on centrals.
Yeah.
Um, and the agenda compression you get, I can probably pull up the maths, but it basically means it brings the win on centrals numbers back down to 16, 17 instead of 18, which is a big shift
Yeah.
in viability of touch cards. On the corp side, it forces you to run 2 pointers, and also it forces you to consider running 1 pointers if you want to maximize your agenda efficiency and also get to those 17 um, card breakpoints.
Hmm.
Because the way the maths breaks down, the sort of single 1 pointer means that there's a steal sort of permutation they can do where they end up not getting it, and it just pushes it over the line up to that 17 access. But on the flip side, there's a 1 pointer in the deck. So
Yeah.
you've made a trade off to get that rather than getting to 18 while also having 6 great agendas.
Yeah. Shame we didn't get any really incredibly powerful one pointers in the Rebellion Without Rehearsal, eh?
Well, you know, um, there are things to do with your 1 pointers.
Yeah,
And there
I mean,
are,
I've got a deck lined up and it's running free eminence
yep,
because why? And this is an interesting thing because I'm guessing that obviously people kind of haven't. I mean, I'm sure some decks have, but people haven't really been playing Eminent Domain in startup because the
no,
better thing to do is to run six free pointers. So
exactly. Is why would you run Eminent Domain and try and get an archer on the table when you can just get a 10 strength Pharos they also can't walk through for much less effort?
yeah, Um, so that's kind of an interesting
Yep.
thing, and we'll see if everyone's sort of
Yeah.
suddenly like, oh my gosh, I now have to deal with archers like all over the
But
place.
Archer is a more handleable card than um,
Ten
Pharos
straight
in the
ferrets. Yeah,
format.
I guess it kind of is.
Um,
Like you can get a six
you
strength
have
something.
Yep, you have Fizarm for
Hmm.
4.
True.
You have Laser Pointer.
Yes, that is a card. It does exist.
Uh, this is the thing: is cards that don't see play in standard because they're
Yeah,
not powerful enough and not consistent enough can see play in startup.
totally.
I expect if we start seeing a widespread um, of those kind of get an archer on the table decks, you might well start seeing some laser pointers hit the table. Um,
Living Mural breaks it for slightly more than I was hoping. That's a shame. I really thought. Oh no,
but
actually, with
but
the active text, so +3, you boost
yep,
once, gets for it for
yep,
5 as long as you can
and
install it for.
you can flicker it with UAV pretty consistently in RA.
Okay. Yeah.
And also Monkey Wrench is a card that is, I think, fairly playable in startup right now.
Okay, so I will spoil one thing. Monkey Wrench has appeared in my Arasana
Yep.
standard list.
Yep. It
Uh,
Oh, in your
in
standard
my
list,
standard list.
you're aware you can just play another copy of
I am
Turbine.
fully aware. I'm not playing a turbine. I don't have a turbine. Turbine's gone.
Oh,
Turbine
interesting.
turbine's gone.
Have you
Um,
considered the deck is better if you swap that back?
do you not think I've got people screaming at me and telling me that already? I'm refusing to listen to them.
Hey,
Um,
do you wanna know a secret? My World Tree Arasana list from the previous startup meta was
yeah.
also on a Monkey Wrench instead of a Turbine. So I actually am a believer in this as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
You're preaching to the very small choir here of, I think, just the
yeah.
2 of us.
I think it probably is. But yeah, so I guess like monkey wrench, you put that on an archer, it brings it down to 4 strength. Getting an echelon to 4 strength is actually pretty easy.
Yep.
Um, and that's a card which is way more busted than it really should be. Um, and
Um,
you can,
just to respond real quick to
yeah,
Axu in chat, flickering a 3 credit card hype. When have Shapers ever paid to install programs? Sorry?
yeah, DZMZ, right? That's still
You
legal.
got a DZMZ and a UAV, then the flicker pays for itself.
Um, and obviously an archer at 6 strength that can be eaten by a couple of leeches and an eye and a
And a crew.
crew.
Yep. Yep, you can
Um,
eat that ice. There are
like
many more ways to deal with it than there are to deal with oops all barriers.
fair enough. Okay. So this is going to change like lots of these decks. Now I don't know. Like, okay, so I know a couple of other decks which have been seeing play because PD is always going to be a relevant deck.
Yep.
And obviously, Skunk Void is still very much a thing. We didn't get any tools to deal with Skunk Void.
No. In fact, we lost a lot of tools to deal with Skunk Void.
Yes, yeah, sorry, that was more my thing. Like, we don't have Pinhole anymore. We don't have Light the Fire.
Yep.
Is there worries about that? I mean, I guess, yeah,
Yep.
are there worries about that
We
just
tested it.
becoming
We
brutal?
actually we dedicated an entire evening to those of us that play a lot of PD playing PD and everyone else trying to build decks to beat it.
Yeah,
Um, and it is our stance that it is beatable in a way that is consistent enough that we're not super concerned.
got you.
Um, it it is a lot slower to get it going in startup than it is in standard.
I can imagine that.
Um,
I mean, you don't have Rashida. Like, you're just your ability to find all the pieces
yep,
is
and
and
you can
and
still
stack them
do
in a remote before
correct,
they you've got to get both of the things in there for it to
correct.
really be a big issue.
Um, and you also, while you still have oh, what's it called? While you still have um your digital life, you don't have Midnight 3 Arcology. So you can't
Right.
really do the whole shoot the moon archetype in PD either.
Hey, who needs Midnight Free when you can play um Superconducting Hub?
Superconducting hub. I will tell you, the one pointer that was in my PD list that we did a lot of testing on was a superconducting hub for that
Yeah,
reason.
that makes sense. I'm pretty
Um,
sure that Freedan was playing superconducting hubs in his PD deck at East Anglia Regionals on the weekend, which went
I can believe it.
undefeated until the cut. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I was watching it on stream, and either he had a superconducting hub in his hand, or there's a card which looks very much like a superconducting hub, which
Yeah,
it wasn't. And I don't know what that card is, if so. But yeah, I I was really interested to see that because
yeah,
I don't know what that does to the
no.
agenda suite.
The other thing is like ice is not good. Like purple, like none of the ice that people play in good PD decks exists in startup, right?
Bran exists.
Sure, Bran exists, but like
MIC exists.
Gatekeeper, yes.
I
So
guess
Bran
we
MIC
don't.
is the ice suite we tested a lot with.
Yeah.
Um, that I can just find it. Hold on. So we did a lot of testing with. Um, Purple, Skunk Void. The ice suite we were running was Bran, MIC, Magnet, and Cell in various ratios. Experimented with Tattoo Bowler and Jaguarundi. There was another experiment that was on Eli, and another one that was on Enigma, I think.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
we did a bunch of playing around with just like good stuff, barriers, what helps keep things out. They are there, but they're not the like very tempo positive, high consistency things that people are used to seeing out of PD and standard.
Yeah. I mean, Gatekeeper and Drafter are both like nonsensely good ice, which are a lot
Yeah.
cheaper than anything you're resing here as well,
Yes,
or
which
anything
means
that
you
does
really
anything.
also you often can't afford to just jam the so this is the other thing is the shape of economy is so much slower in startup that
Hmm.
unless you get like an absolute gangbusters yodel where you're able to like res a spin doctor into some other draw into a yodel like you sprint and then whatever you're doing with it um you're generally needing to click a regolith a few times to have the money to feel comfortable to do what you're doing
Right.
in
So you're
PD,
almost always
which
taking a turn or two off, like early on.
correct, which also gives a window for the runner to play a more aggressive play style and try and take the deck down. I will say I think it's strong. I think it's a really strong deck. I would not be surprised to see a lot of it at the Startup Worlds event, but I do not think it is a problematic deck in the way that um, the 6x3 BTL deck was.
Yeah. I mean, I also wouldn't be
I
surprised to
may
see a
end
lot
up
of it.
eating those words,
We'll find out.
but yeah, but from the testing we were able to do in again a very quick turnaround on this ban list,
Yeah.
because we wanted it out the door as soon as we could. Um, we're not over concerned. We did like it, it came up in conversation, but
Yeah. I mean, I would also be very, very unsurprised to see a lot of PD at like Worlds
yeah,
startup um because it's very like for people who
yeah,
don't play a lot, if you don't play a lot of startup and you want to just grab a deck and or
yep.
build your own or whatever, it builds it, it does build itself. PD will
I
always
think a
build
lot of
itself.
startup decks, a lot of startup decks build themselves, but PD is definitely up there.
Yeah, and it's an archetype which I think almost everyone has tried. You've tried or you've seen it
Yeah,
played, and you understand the concept of what
yeah.
you're doing.
It was the first deck I built was called Yet Another Seamless Launch, and it was a gate date deck. That was the first deck I built that was like just me deck building without net decking anything, just put
Yeah,
cards in the deck, play it against a friend of mine. We were learning the game together. That was what I reached for. So I think it's like a very obvious deck to go for.
David says, while I will not be at Worlds, if I was, I would totally bring a Thunderbolt Armaments deck because I love a deck. But so I love. I can't read that bit. I love a deck, but so I don't know what that's meant to say. But
I
I
they
would
love that
be
deck. I can tell you that there are people that think Thunderbolt is very playable in startup.
interesting.
I
Um,
phrased it as there are people because I remain unconvinced,
yeah,
but there are people in my local meta who think it has legs, and I can see some reasons it might. One important thing to note is the power of rig shooting is way higher in a world without a lot of easy recursion.
yeah. I mean, you've got Muse and Test Run, and
Yep.
I guess like you do have just recursion, but like much less specific program recursion, right? Like, I mean, you can just ashen everything back and hope you don't delete your breakers, for
Yes.
instance.
Hope you don't delete your breakers. But your main like heap interaction you have is privileged access, which is, you know, threat text.
Yeah,
Jaichinya recurs itself, that doesn't count.
yeah,
Uh Muse, retrieval run, and test run are your targeted recursion.
yeah.
Steve, which obviously needs you to have lost two of the thing you want back.
Hmm.
And dash and epilogue. So there is recursion in the format, but it is not super consistent.
Yeah, yeah. So I could see
And it
that.
has
Like,
a fairly high cost, right? Test run your, you're paying 3 and then paying to reinstall it again. Muse, you're playing 2 plus 1 permanent MU plus the cost of the thing you're installing. Retrieval run, you need to make a successful run, albeit on archives, and paying 3. You know, the targeted is there's it's not as like, oh, net plus 2 credit install from bin off of Simulchip.
mm, well, I could see that, and also pretty much good, um, the only good tag punishment right now, with the exception of doing some really wonky stuff or playing greasing the palm, is retribution. So I could see like
Mindscaping.
Mindscape it. Yeah,
Mind
how are you landing
Mindscaping
like that many tags? Like
Cloud
Oppo,
Eater. Cloud
Cloudy.
Eater,
Okay,
Oppo Research.
okay. So I
I
mean,
can tell you, I can very consistently get people to float tags in startup because also people aren't as scared of the punishment.
yep, fair. Um,
We're not people. It took a while. Like near the start of the meta, people were still snap clearing tags because they all had a bit of trauma from end of the line. But people float tags in startup all the time.
mm,
If they don't have resources they want to protect and they're not afraid that you're about to triple mindscape them, they'll float 2 tags without worrying. And from
Mika
there, it's
is
not hard to
asking.
push them into full tag me.
Yeah, Mita's asking about Rototurret and Hammer. I would imagine Hammer is actually pretty good in
Yeah,
startup.
hammer's reliable. What do people just jack out after the Cloud Eater? They should. They don't. Um, and even if they do, oftentimes, you're still taking generally 4 tags from running through a Cloud Eater. Sometimes only 2, but it's very frequent. So remember, economy's pretty rough in startup. Usually, you're not making sure you have the credits to bust a Cloud Eater down before you make your run.
And
Usually, you're just accepting the Cloud Eater res is going to blow you out a bit.
I will admit that I have run into a Cloud Eater at least a couple of times when I've not been playing a deck which is able to easily deal with it. I.e., I've not been playing Arasana or something with an Orca installed, and you will always end up taking that. You will like. I was like, well, I'm just gonna end up taking a ton of tags here. Like you
Yeah,
just have
you always just go tags, and then if like you probably don't have the clicks to clear them, and then it doesn't take much for you to get convinced to go tag me at that point.
yeah.
Especially in a format where your economy is so taxed, spending it's not even the clicks; it's spending 8 credits to clear them is just rough.
Yeah, I mean, you could play Valentina, right? But no one does
Yeah, but
unless you're
why when
so.
there's no tag punishment in the format? This is the thing:
Well,
is
yeah,
it's kind of the meta that the lack of the dominance of it in the meta means decks that are going to pursue it get a kind of counter meta boost.
cool. So what you're saying is I can kill people with orbital superiority in startup. That's what I'm
What
hearing.
I what I'm telling you is I have killed people with orbital superiority in startup.
Yeah, I would be unsurprised. Um, okay, right. What? Let me just check that. Right, I think we've gone through everything in this article. I would, if you haven't actually read these articles, I'd highly recommend going and reading them. I'd go and read them even if you're not a big fan of startup, because I think they're very well written and
Yep.
they really go into. It's really nice to see the explanations, and I really liked the you talked about various other things which you'd been considering and why you hadn't done that, and that's the SBT team did similar recently, and I always find that almost the more assuring thing. I want to know that you've looked at other stuff.
Yep.
I want to know
I'll
that.
say we are definitely benefiting from the experience of the standard balance team.
Nice. I mean, that's they've got some good hands there involved, and I mean, what's really interesting is seeing this. I've seen talk about, well, what if this deck building restriction could slot its way into standard at some point? And I
Yeah.
know but no one's saying, well, that's going to happen. But I also know that they're not saying it's definitely not going to happen. So,
Look, I
um,
I you know, Lost Geek has been very publicly interested in that happening and the
yeah.
possibility of it. I personally probably not 3x. So actually, this is one to talk about. Is people say why not 4x? Um, honestly, it could be 4x. It's 3x because it kind of makes the maths nice, right? You get one playset of your favorite three pointer,
Hmm.
and it means that you don't end up in the position where everyone except NBN can go 4x.
Yeah.
Which, you know, sort of equality is something we do care about a fair bit with startup trying to be a celebration of a set. If a faction is just disadvantaged arbitrarily, then all of their cards in that set are being disadvantaged arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Um, I could easily see like a 4x version of the rule for standard though. And honestly, uh, 6x3 decks are miserable to play against as runner. Like, I understand why they exist, and I know a lot of people love them. I don't. So
Yeah. I mean, they're almost always almost always a toxic deck, isn't it?
yeah,
When you see that kind of
and I
gender
also think
fluidity.
that like it also in a way restricts design, right? Because it means that the power of three pointers, like if you were restricted on three pointers, we could have some cool three pointers, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you were sort of restricted on those decks, then the concern about agenda density is less, and you can let the kind of there's an argument to be made that maybe in standard the consistency of these sort of powerful multi-access tools is too high because it has to be in an arms race with these highly agenda compressed decks.
Yeah.
Especially looking back on Global Food Initiative and sort of that style of compression.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Global Food Initiative is the one three pointer which didn't turn up in the six three pointer decks, but
Yes.
was equal like stronger because of it. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Um, anyway, we got Andre in chat, who I know would be a very big fan of any kind of restriction on three pointers coming
Yeah, he
into
seemed
the game.
very optimistic on it. Watching the video,
Yeah,
you could hear the smile on the face talking about it.
yeah, yeah. And I think, understandably, I think it's. I mean, it's made me more just this article and the changes has made me way more interested in jumping in and trying out startup. I think just because I know that someone's doing something, someone's
Yeah.
looking after it. It makes it far more interesting um to jump
Well,
in rather than it feeling like it's floating along doing nothing.
this is another reason why our name is different to SBT.
Hmm.
Um, curator was chosen very deliberately because we're not just here to balance the format, we're here to advocate for the format, we're here to try and advance the format, and we're here to try and keep the format you know in the forefront of people's minds.
Hmm.
NSG has got lots of very good systems in place for standard balance, having feedback into new card design, for having feedback into organized play. There's a very well-oiled organized play machine that drives itself forward on the existence of standard that startup doesn't have. And so we're there to advocate for the format in as much as we can, um, alongside trying to keep it in a balanced and healthy place.
Got you. Right. We've talked for a long time.
Yes.
We should probably try and get at least one
Let's,
game of startup in tonight. I feel.
let's play some Netrunner.
Um, should do you want to put together a deck and play against some randos, or do you want to bring your game against whatever I can cook up?
I am happy to play it however you would like. I have got a wide assortment of decks, and I've had people from the testing group sending me decks that they think they've been brewing because we've been brewing a lot of startup post banlist. Um, so I'm happy
Well,
to
let me
run
let me
against you or corp against you, whatever you want to try.
I put together corp decks because
Okay.
they were obviously I was like that's where I thought the biggest change was gonna be. So let me just have a look. I need to get into my other account because it's got my startup stuff on it. Uh, so hopefully you're not looking at the stream right now.
Nope.
So
I have closed the stream.
I think so. These are the ideas for the stream. Actually, I'm gonna mute Lucy for a second here. I'll mute here. Hopefully you can't hear me now. Cool. Um, so a couple of ideas which I had. So this is based on I think Harmony Beam maybe posted the original like 6 seamless BTL. Um, it's basically looking to just like do the whole I'm gonna get an eminent domain, I'm gonna get a archer on the board. Um, I can slash and burn them out. I can install advance and then seamless or slash and burn to score a basalt spire and then get all of my stuff back. So this is one idea, which does kind of BTL but in a fairer sense. No punitive here, although it almost could play a punitive. Um, we could try and kill Lucy with PE. This is an idea. No Valentau meter because I didn't want to take any bad pub, but maybe Valentau is still good enough. It probably is. Um, so here's a potentially nonsense but potentially mean PE deck, which should possibly be on 3 copies of Orbital Superiority and 1 copy of See How They Run. I can't quite work it out, but it's just looking to like Neurospike as quick as we can. So we can either do like a Fuji Neurospike combo. We only need to install Advance and then install a Hollow Man, and then we're kind of good to go. Um, this is very theoretical, but maybe we'll try this out because this could be the quickest. I want to see if we can like get a like really cheesy quick win off with this. Um, I'll copy it. And then I also thought of some Epiphany decks. I haven't. I realized I haven't got the startup Corp deck, which I took to EMEA. Um, is unchanged by this ban list, and I actually really liked that list. That was playing king making um, with superconducting hubs and like a load of other small agendas, Hollow Man, 3 copies of Piranhas, 3 copies of Phonatria, and it was playing it in R plus, and that was actually like a pretty banging deck. It went very very fast. This is personal evolution. No, it's Jinteki personal evolution. I'm gonna put in the orbitals and take out the sea how runs. Cool. And we'll call it Spiky PE startup. Okay. We will bring Lucy back on. Hopefully you couldn't hear all of
Hello,
that
hello.
while
I
I was
I stream closed. You were muted. I have no idea what you're hitting me with. I'm
no
excited.
problem. Um, right. I'm gonna throw up a game with a password, which I'll stick you in
I'm gonna
chat.
remind you to set the game mode to startup.
I have remembered to set the game mode to
Okay,
startup. But yes, I did have to double think about that. I have forgotten to put a password on it, but you're in already,
that's all
so
right.
that's fine. That's fine.
So I'm gonna caveat this, and I'm gonna caveat to the stream. I am a much better court player than runner player.
Okay.
Um, my JNet win rates on them both are flipped the same but flipped.
Right.
I am not a great runner player, but I have practiced a lot on a couple runner decks. I'm going to offer you a choice. Do you
Yep.
want a deck that I think is good, or do you want a deck that I built that was jank, because I wanted to play Jank after tryharding startup for a month and a half straight testing it, and then it turned out to be good anyway.
I think you should play the good deck for this one,
Okay.
and we'll
In that
just see.
case, if Knight from Chess is in chat, they are going to know what this is very quickly because it is their list.
Okay.
And
All right. Shout out to Night from Chess.
yeah. Oh
All right.
boy.
We've
Can
got
I
time.
can I just can I just make a prediction right out the gate?
Sure.
Mindscaping Neurospike, see how they run.
Well, let's see what happens, shall we?
Okay?
Um, I mean, they are all cards which I could legally play.
They are
Uh,
all cards you could legally play, and they are definitely one of the PE decks that exists in startup. So
yeah, and one which probably wasn't like my I basically had quite a few thoughts when the particularly with the less about the ban list, more about the kind of uh agenda restriction. Um, one of my one of the things which I was really happy about was I realized that the R plus deck which I was playing at EMEA is completely unchanged because that had zero 3 pointers. I believe it had like it was playing 12 agendas, but it was like doing the king making thing, so it could do. Oh, here we go. How many mayflies are you on, Lucy?
this is not the
Okay.
35 Mayfly deck.
I
Um,
was watching you play that deck the other day. It was very funny.
that deck is not good, but it is a joy to play. Interesting. That is probably the biggest blowout ice I was expecting, and I am glad I went the pre-install Mayfly route.
um, yeah. If this is Hermes Tau, is Reprise still in the?
No.
Okay, right. So you can continue. How much
All
money?
right.
5. I think I will resin take this money.
Charlotte. Yeah, very Charlotte coded play.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna draw up. Let's
But
keep
you
our
know,
hand
if you
size
didn't, if
healthy.
you didn't have a, if you didn't have a Mayfly there, then I feel much better about that play.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And hey, you've got a Jaguar Rest on the table. That thing is gonna remain a problem.
Yeah. Okay, thinking here. Yeah, we can do this.
I'm curious if our version of this deck from testing had Jaguar in it. Don't remember.
Then we'll do this and this.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't find my R plus deck anywhere. Like I couldn't find
Hmm.
a list for it. Um,
R plus definitely has legs in the format. It
yeah,
it makes use of tags in a way that very little else does. It's always got that tempo forward tag upside. Interesting. Hmm.
let's see. Yeah, my main thing for playing R plus was that I was playing 3 copies of Phonatria and 3 copies of Piranhas, which in R plus just turns out to be really quite disgusting. Okay, we have a Hermes. That's probably not great, but
You've built a scoring server. I need to put it down.
yeah.
Do I want to click this telework or not?
Now I have to consider putting other ice places, and I kind of don't want to do that against Tau.
Let's not click the
Okay.
telework.
You could sell the Hermes if you want.
Yeah, that's the card on the table that's getting sold. Okay, advancing.
Advancing again. I
Okay.
take credit. I'm not scared of your Hermes.
Oh, Fuji already. Interesting. Or you're gonna try for the tempo Charlotte play and you've got another one. Or it's an Utica that you're expecting me to run for some reason. Curious.
Could be any of those things. All of those things are
Could
available.
be. They are. They are all legal in the format. But I'm going to do, I think, the recommended thing against PE and just like not interact with you until I know what you're doing. And we'll see if you can Neurospike me. I don't think you can. Maybe I shouldn't go to 4. Can you Neurospike kill me off this?
Um,
See how they run brings me to 3. Neurospike brings me to 1. Mindscaping brings me to 0. You'd need 2 Mindscapings in hand, and you only have 8 credits. I think I'm fine. And you'd need more clicks than you have. Yeah, I'm fine. If you can kill me here, then you have my respect. We're above public trail, so you're not gonna blow me out with orbital. I'm trying to figure out what the upgrade is. You didn't res it, so it's not a hollow man you were
hmm.
using to push. Could be an Angelique that you're just trying to sort of play that aggro damage line. Or it could just be, skunk void value. Or I guess in faction you have Daniela for stealing prevention and Adrian. Hmm. Could be a few things.
Interesting. I think
Okay, now I have to respect
we.
it.
I think we. It's really interesting. So we're just gonna score this.
Ooh, interesting. Just scoring it. Okay, it is a see how they run deck.
It has a Sierra run in it, at least one.
Yep, at least one of them.
And now I need to do a. I've never done a see how they run side game. What happens? If a players differ, if a bids differ, do one core.
Yeah, matches net differs core.
Um, Lord Getlander, yes, I was considering doing that, but I was worried about money.
Oh
Um,
no,
uh,
Lander is advising you. I'm scared. Um, uh, how good are you at side games?
Amazing. I'm like the best at
Okay,
side games, but I'm much better at them
I'll
in
take
person.
I'll take a
What
net
did I
instead.
do?
Oh, it's a
Ah,
core. Never mind. All
oh,
right.
it's a
Well,
core. Yes, excellent.
yeah,
Okay, that's good. Would you like to bounce card? I mean, you kind of have to.
it's mandatory. So if JNet will let me.
Yeah. And then we are gonna do this.
Okay, just clean me out.
Just gonna clean
No
you out.
kill. No kill follow up. What do I? Okay.
No, I probably should have like waited for it, but I'm a bit scared about the Hermes, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I think I've got other potential options.
Okay.
Um, hmm. Okay.
Okey-dokey. Well, it's going to be a pretty straightforward one. You have 2 credits. If you want to trash my Aesops, go ahead. You have 2 credits.
Yeah. I would have trashed the Aesops. Don't don't think I wouldn't. Okay. I also had a predictive in hand, which would have been. I was really hoping you were gonna just float that tag.
Float the tag. Yeah.
I'd have-
I considered it. I don't want to start floating tags because I know this deck is probably on the Mindscaping package as well.
I mean, you've definitely seen at least one Mindscaping.
Yeah. Now the question is, do I want to just wait for you to advance? Probably. What's your biggest unadvanced threat? Not really anything. I think I'm just going to recover from you shooting out my entire hand.
I feel like it was just about
Mm,
worth it. While we're playing this, Lucy, you've started events in Reading in the UK recently, I believe,
Yes, I have.
or more than I believe. I know. You had your first one a couple of weeks back.
We did, yep, on the 14th, and our next one is on the 5th.
Marvelous. And you're running them at I can't remember the venue. Tell me which venue because I can't remember off the top of my
Risk.
head. Right.
It is a event. It is a world food store with an event space that gives nice discounts to charities, and uh, the group I run events under is organized as a CIC, so we get a nice discount there for venue
Nice.
hosting. Sorry, this is a tough last click. I think it is. You have a Jag resed. Let's just put
Yeah.
this on the table.
You've also got a core damage. I should probably remind you of at some point.
I do. That's fine. I'll just discard a card. This one. Yeah, I
Mm,
probably would not have drawn as much there if I remembered the core damage.
Okay. I think here we can afford to money up. So I'm just going to do that.
Yep. I am unfortunately going to miss my Aesop's value because someone took away my muse.
Yep. I mean that was one of my reasons for clearing out your hand. If there's a lot of econ in a couple of cards, and if I can get rid of them all, then it's all pretty good.
And I'm just going to start putting a rig on the table for you to figure out what you're doing with.
Okay. Um. This time I think we will res this. As much as I don't like showing this off,
Ooh, a
I'm
3 point
gonna
spell.
res it because
Very,
then we
okay.
don't get a Hermes bounce.
House of
Got it.
Knives. Okay, like a pseudo grinder deck, or is that just your value 1 pointer because of the agenda restriction?
I mean, I'm PE. I've got to play some one pointers. Can't play Sting. Not allowed.
That's fair. There, you are what I was digging for, and you finally showed up. Thank you kindly. How do I want to do this? Draw one more. Install that. Install that.
Oh, you're on Airblades? That's
I am
not
on
fair.
Airblades.
Highly, highly unfair. That
Yeah,
deals with a lot of different things in my deck.
it does.
Don't like that. Fine. Let's go. Yes, you still have to boost this echelon, so this is still quite expensive, and I'm still not going to put
Ooh,
another piece of ice down because
interesting.
you're Tau.
I am.
So I'm just going to play with one ice all game.
Yep.
Kind of quite happy with the one that I found.
Yeah. What's Daniela's text? 2 to the bottom of stack.
Something on it.
2 cards from the grip at random to the bottom of stack. Okay, well, let's make that not random by doing this.
Okay.
What's the maths here? Daniela is 2 to bottom of stack. I can prevent the net damage from Jinteki, which means from PE. So 2 in hand, I go to 0 with no tags. So, and enough money to survive public trail into Mindscaping. I don't think this leaves you with a kill line. Oh, Angelique kills me if I go to 0 cards. Are you on Angelique? What's
She
Angelique's
is
threat?
she is legal in the format. She is threat free.
What's She's threat 3. That's a lot more scary. Okay, let's go to 1 card in hand instead. And then you only kill me if you have double Angelique. And if you have double Angelique, you deserve to kill me. Let's take that line.
Ooh, this is
Got to do it at some point.
this is bold.
If you snare me, plans change. All right, plans have changed.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
because I can bounce.
yeah. So we'll do some amount of damage here. Oh, I should have hit you with a House of Knives, but it's a bit late now.
Yep.
I really should have hit you with a House of Knives as
All right. What do I want to do here? I think I am gonna just we'll pressure the spin doctor. You
well.
can
Okay,
House of Knives me.
I think I will.
Sure.
Although you kind of wanted these things to be shuffled back, but no, we're gonna do it. Oh yeah,
Okay.
Mayfly, it's going. That's fine. We will pop Spin Doctor, I'm sure. What are we gonna
I
get?
thought you might. All
I
right.
think
Dead trick shot
here,
value, but I was happy with that line, I think.
it's gonna be a predictive and a mindscaping.
Okay. All right, Knight from Chess. If you're in chat, can you just DM me what I'm meant to do once I use the air blades? Thanks.
I mean, you found it. You were looking for it.
Yeah,
You found it.
I did. I did find it. All right, now let's do this the other way. Anything to Aesop's? Not really. That's unfortunate. Well, you know. Okay. I don't want to bottom that. The rest of this is fine. What would it be? It would be put 2 on bottom, take 3 to another Fuji, if that's what you're pushing. Would you push Fuji with 1 advance?
Would I? Would I not?
Knight from Chess has helpfully messaged me, just don't hit snare.
Oh,
Okay, well,
maybe.
I will endeavor to not do that. Maybe playing the Sugar Gamble there is wrong, and I should just run and accept that this could be a 3 real damage, 2 emotional damage swing.
That's such a great way of putting it.
Or I could run last click. Which of those is worse for me? Do you mind if I take back that Sugar Gamble?
Yeah, go ahead. Your Senguin's just checking that I'm not being held captive against my will to play startup, I believe. Um, but no, Jeff, this is all planned. This is all planned.
Jeff,
Um,
we've got them all playing startup this week, so
yeah. I mean, the botulus being here is upsetting,
yeah, that was the plan.
but any minute now you'll be at fret 4, so
All right,
you're
Urtica
not gonna
Cipher
be
lose the
dead.
game. What are we cooking here? It is another Charlotte. Okay,
It's just
well,
another shot.
do I want to get rid of this? It's random. How much do I like the cards in my hand? Um, she
Oh, I
is
need to hit
really
this. Wait, I need
annoying.
to hit this. I definitely. Oh,
Okay,
that's a really good
well,
hit. That's a really good
can
hit.
I please keep some cards I can use to put Aesop's targets on the table, please?
I would like you to
Um,
not do that.
yeah, I was hoping that one would get bottomed rather than.
Yeah. Are you on test
Uh,
run? Because oh no, actually no, it doesn't work, does it? Because you
hmm?
can't test run a coalescence because then the muse goes back.
No, you can test run a muse to a coalescence and then muse the coalescence.
You can test run a muse.
You can test run muse coalescence, draw, and then next turn install the muse coalescence and get.
Oh right, yeah, yeah,
Te- Test
yeah.
run is
So it's
how
like
I get to
plus
play so many Mayflies because every test run gives you
gives
not
you
just
two
the
two
test
may
run
two
muse
mayflies and
Mayfly,
two
but also
muses
the
and
muse
yeah,
Mayfly.
yeah.
Um, this is a hard one. I think I have. Okay, I think the correct play is to trash it, but I am not good at playing runner, so I'm not going to
Okay.
because I think I would rather click to draw and then play that show gamble.
Fine. Who needs Aesops when you've got gambles?
That's sort of, the Aesop's just sat there doing nothing. I don't need a lot of money because you've not put out a lot of taxing ice, but you're also trying to avoid getting dowed, so it does make sense. Spin Doctor, what are we digging for?
Hmm.
Now, if you could just with your next House of Knives bullet, if you could just hit one of the cards I wanted to bottom to Daniela
Sure thing.
instead of the good cards, that would be appreciated.
I will do my very best. We're gonna put this here and then take a credit. And
Do I need to respect it? That's a decision. Um, a decision I am going to decline to make right now. But I could. No, let's just see if you're willing to one shoot the card I want you to shoot, or if you're going to hold the House of Knives for a more dangerous time,
yeah,
and two, if you want to get rid of that spin doctor.
we'll definitely shuffle here. I think we get one of these,
Sure.
and I think we
You do.
get one
You
of
do still have a paid
these.
ability window to House of Knives me, should you
Yeah,
decide
I'm not
to.
gonna quite yet.
Okay, that's
Uh,
fine.
I'll
Happy to
wait
get
and
another spin doctor out of the deck. Charlotte and an unseen. Cool.
okay. Put this here.
I'm scared.
Well, but oh, if I can, I don't think I can. Okay. Yeah, we'll put this here. And we'll take a credit.
Ooh, nice. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so that could be Hollow Man Fuji.
Could be.
It feels like Hollow Man Fuji. Um, what decoder is this deck on? How many of them? Sure.
Unity's legal, right? Unity is a
Yeah,
gateway
yeah, yeah, yeah.
card.
Unity is the likely candidate. I have 10 cards left in that deck. I'm a bit scared of getting ground out. I'm trying to resist the urge to just send it because, playing against PE on Jaina, every fiber of my being says send it. But, we're trying to give a good game here. I
I
think
think the correct way against
uh,
most PE is to send it
all right.
most of the
Well,
time.
absolute best top deck in the game.
Okay, yeah, that seems good.
Let's run. What have you got?
I've got a tattoo bowler.
A tattoo bowler. Okay. Well, let's at least force you to anoetic me. But I think that's Hollow Man Fuji.
Put
It smells like Hollow Man Fuji.
this here. Right, there you go. You should be able to calculate now, hopefully.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's get rid of the one that does something.
And then I have a quick think here.
Interesting. Something you can think about.
I can think about things. Got to think about whether I want to House of Knives you to start with.
Yep. I do have the cards to survive House of Knives. Well, I guess I couldn't take the Fuji because Daniela's there, so it would deny me the Daniela trash.
Ooh, I hit a trick shot, which feels nice.
That does feel nice for you, and it is an Anoetic. Interesting. You gonna pay for that Anoetic?
I'm gonna pay for that anyway.
You're gonna pay for that Anoetic. Okay, that feels reasonable.
We're gonna pay with 2 credits and 2 cards.
I'm no longer scared of Hollow Man. I'm gonna click that. Also, you continue to not shoot either of the cards in my hand that I want to feed to hit points. So
Oh, that seems good for you.
yeah.
Um, let's see if I can hit them
Ooh,
with this.
nope. Just
Damn it!
just continuing to very consistently hit the cards I want to keep. Have some ice back.
I'm feeling okay about scoring a second House of Knives. All these 40 card runner decks run out very quickly.
They do.
Nice. So let's draw.
I'm being berated for playing Knight from Chess's deck wrong. I'd like to make that known.
And this is going to go here.
All right. Well,
I mean,
you haven't pushed.
you, you have all the money in the world.
Yeah,
So
and like I mean that. Yeah, as Shaper. You can see why we banned Creative Commission. um,
are you going to be on Ash
let
and Epilogue? Because if so, I might be in trouble.
I don't know. KFC, is this deck on Ash and Epilogue? Please tell me you put one in here. I'm actually just going to do the thing that this deck is meant to do that I haven't been doing all game because I am a coward, allegedly.
You're getting properly
Um,
berated.
yep. But I don't want to do it last click. There's stairs in there.
It might only be 2 snares.
Fine.
Oh, you're doing that last clip. That is brave. Well, we're
This
gonna
is what the
hit.
deck is meant to do
Yeah,
and should have allegedly been doing for a while. You just trashed the Beatrice, which helps reaffirm that that's what the deck is meant to do.
got it.
The message I was asked are where are the girls? This deck is girly Dow. Apparently, I should have won by now or died. Okay,
Well, I think I probably. Oh, that's a shame. Um, I probably also should have won, but more from a way that I probably should have set up the see how we run as a kill.
kill. Yes, yes. It's sort of a set it up, draw the mindscaping
You want
slash
to
sort
take
of bring
attack
your
here?
spike and oh, there's this threat four. I stole a thing.
This
You
is.
scored a thing.
I've scored a thing.
Do you mind if I decline
You
the
can
run
you
instead?
can decline the run instead.
Jag Randy has threat text on it. Well, am I not allowed to hit that button? Okay, I will just
Yeah,
do that manually
that's
then.
fine. Okay.
All right, well,
Hmm.
you've got some pressure on you finally.
Yeah, let's draw.
Interesting. Was this 44 or 49?
This is 49.
49. Okay.
Um,
So we are
this can go on the top. And
So we are
Hmm,
11 agenda points deep in value, and there are 9 of them on the table. Good
this
to
can go in here.
know. Okay.
Or any minute now, this can go in here.
Any minute now, when JNet permits you, it's going to go there.
Uh, Lord Getlander says, for reference, the deck's creator has a very blasé attitude towards damage from Jinteki.
Yes, this is very true.
Um, so yeah, I think you should have been just
Just
slamming the
jamming it
centrals
and
with
just
Mary
yeah,
from turn
win
one.
win before you assemble the combo. Although you had the Neurospike and see how
Yeah,
they run
that's
very
why
early.
I feel like I probably should have
Push the combo kill, yeah.
I should have gone for the combo kill rather than like clearing your hand. It felt
I mean,
good.
the value core damage has been making this game much harder for me. I think if I played the side game well, then it might have probably it would definitely have not been worth it. But the core damage is kind of all right to have.
I think this is the worst card from the hand.
All right, let's now I don't need the botchless anymore, right? Echelon is the same. Well, I guess it's credits.
Oh, we've got all sorts of stories coming out here. Referring to the creator of the deck you're playing, they managed to flatline themselves against an asset PE whilst playing Essa.
Yep. Yep. Okay,
Seems
believable.
very believable.
Do I want to get rid of botulus? Really? I don't know. It's so much value. It's 1 credit a turn. It's 1 credit a run. 3 credits now or 1 credit run? How many times am I going to run that server? Probably not 3 more times. Get it out of here. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd have sold that the minute you put down your Unity, to be fair.
Yeah, very, very plausibly. I think this turn has to just look like this. Is the only thing that I think makes sense to me here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I didn't realize that I ditched a lot of my spin doctors, so the win is in the bin here, which is like
Okay.
really
Okay. Cool.
anticlimactic. But
Is there one in the top three? Because my other line there was install Eru, click Eru.
ooh, install Eru, click Eru, nearly hits a snare. Very nearly hits a snare.
Okay.
There's not an agenda
Okay.
in the top three.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I did the agenda mats. We were 11 deep. It's got to be
I
somewhere.
kind
It
of
was the
forgot.
other option I had was cupulation, grab something, run HQ.
Yeah, there's been a snare in HQ for a long time, and actually, it's
I
why I
see.
ditched the orbital was because I
Yeah,
thought that after ditching from hand, you would run the hand and
yeah.
see
So
if there was an agenda there to bounce.
I don't tend to run HQ unless it's like absolutely necessary because I, as a Taya player, know that just like letting them pool in HQ and just letting them sit there as threats is so alluring that they often just find themselves sat there.
Um, yeah, okay, that's fair. Um, so I have you had another runner deck, right? But one which was potentially
A
cheap but turned out
pure
good.
jank.
Cool.
Pure jank.
Let's
It has won a lot of games, but it has won a lot of games into JNet casual startup.
okay. Well, let's play that
So
into this, and we'll see what
sure.
happens. This one here. This one here. Start up. Start up. I'll make the game, and then I will actually put the deck in here.
Sure.
Uh,
Okay, different deck. Let's see.
okay, there we go. Format. Start up. That seems fine.
Okay. Ready when you are.
I'm ready when Jaina is. Okay,
Okay. Can I make a surface call again? I was right last
absolutely.
time. Either Eminent Archer or just Tempo, Project Atlas, like Hollow Man or Seamless Launch, whichever one you felt like when you built the deck. Maybe both.
Well, that is exactly two. You can't guess every like you can't just guess everything. Obviously,
Like
you gotta.
I spent the last month and a half tryharding startup and building every deck. It's a very small format. It's not hard to guess what might work now that we've banned out the top deck for
Yeah,
BTL.
that's fair.
Um, okay,
I
but I
I
don't know which
I'm
of those two guesses it is. Maybe both.
I'm just gonna let you. All
Uh,
you've got to do is guess the agenda
okay,
suite. That's all you've got to do.
guess the agenda suite. Okay, so I'm gonna guess it's on 3 Spire.
Uh huh.
Uh, okay, I'm gonna go 3 Spire. No, maybe you're doing the like 2 3 2 4 1. Is 2 4 1? I forget the exact breakdown. Okay, 2 Spire, 3 um Project Atlas, 1 uh the uh 3 2 from System Gateway, and then the rest Eminent Domain.
Okay.
If the maths,
So
look, I'm bad at doing agenda maths in my head. I might be missing some points there. If I am, the points I'm missing are all off-world officers.
got
That's my guess of what something like this might look like.
you. Okay, we're gonna go.
Interesting. Going to advance that, Charlotte, or just put it there for fun? Okay, there it is.
Tempted to just put it there for fun.
Yeah. Let's draw a card.
Leech. That's fun in Arasana. Who wants to run a lot?
Yep.
Also, maybe means that you're on Monkey Wrench plus.
All right. Ice Wall. Interesting. That takes a long time to advance to be a Pharos.
Yeah, yeah, long time. But
Triple 3 tree lines.
that's fine because we're
Ooh, Eminent. Okay. Yep. But now you get a fun decision of where
actually.
do you want?
I'm gonna change my turn slightly here. I will still do
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
this, but I'm gonna hedge fund before I spend those 2 credits because I've just realised.
Oh, sure, sure.
Uh, I've just realised, but I should have thought about that, and that was part of the whole like turn one plan there.
Yep.
This is gonna go on the server as much as
Okay.
So I'm just gonna borrow 2 credits for a second here
Yep.
and play a hedge. Yeah, as much as like
Sure.
Rick Shot is scary and like it could go on R&D, if I had Thimble rigs available to me, then maybe it would.
Speaking of HQ.
I thought you never ran HQ.
Interesting.
Yeah, Horton was my other option to jam the Eminent behind, but I know that you can get through a Horton. And I think,
Fazarum is the most reliably producible
yeah.
thing in the world for every Arasana. We just okay, we're just like rushing. We're a rush deck.
I mean, this could be an option.
Yeah, could be a Charlotte.
Oh yeah, I have
But
too many credits. Sorry, thank you, chat. I
oh,
borrowed
from
2 credits to play the hedge
from
fund,
the
and then
from the
didn't
loan.
didn't
Yeah,
return didn't return the 2 credits. Um, yeah, that wasn't a that wasn't a purposeful cheat.
it's all right.
Apologies.
I'm getting some weirdo draws, so you know. All right, well let's see what it is.
Uh, where is a horn?
Okay, it's just the autumn. It's sort of to be expected.
I guess this is kind of letting you know that you can trick shot now if you want to, but we'll
Yeah.
see if you want to. I'm worried about the
I
leech. I'm worried that that means that you're on
yeah.
something really, really mean.
I mean, I'm drawing the deck back to front, so you're getting at least some rescue and respite there. Is this
Hop Summer
the
says it's a typical "can I borrow your lighter" move, and like it's so correct.
just walked away with it?
Yeah, yeah, I'll give it right back.
Can I draw good cards? Okay.
You're too used to playing Weltry,
It's a
where you
card.
just have all the cards at all the time.
That is in fact a card. All right. Well, let's install that, click that, and bin a spree, which kind of gives you an idea of what the
Oh,
deck is doing and
boo!
why I'm drawing it back to front. Spree before Trojans.
Okay, thinking here. Sure.
Maybe I should have mulliganed. Hmm. I'm still learning what the mulligan line is here. Because there's some cards you really want opening hand that are just not showing up. Maybe this is a mulligan more aggressively for them kind of deck.
Um,
Interesting.
can't be right.
Not
Can't be right. But I'm just gonna click for some credits.
often is. Basic action card, much better in startup than in standard.
Oh, I still don't like using it though.
Well, I'm clicking to draw until I find good things. So, oh hey, it's good things.
Oh, that wasn't that a lot of clicking for draw. I was like hoping to just have three or four turns out of
I
that.
am I am there are 33 cards left in my deck and I have not played a single draw card.
Yes, you have. You've got a lily pad installed. I mean, you
I
haven't
have not
installed a program
installed a
yet.
program after installing the lily pad because I haven't
Yeah.
had any. Okay, so what have you advanced? You didn't res it, and it was on the table before the start of your turn, so it is presumably an agenda. It's probably a spire, and that's why you're just kind of slow rolling it. I don't know. It's a weird card. It could be a clearinghouse, and you just feel too poor to push it. I probably need to go look at it though. I'm feeling like I need to go look at it.
People are asking me why I'm clicking for credits when I'm BTL, and that is an amazingly great
That is
question.
a great question. You should
Like,
have advanced the Hortum and the Ice Wall.
and
Do you want to do that real quick?
uh, no, I'm gonna just
Okay.
fail. And I would. The worst thing is that like if this was Andre playing, I would be the person on. I'd be in chat like absolutely. Oh my word, we've got an egret. Um, yeah, I'd be in chat sort of
I promised you
rinsing them
Jank.
for this right now. Okay, we
I
have
promised you
an
Jank.
ice wall. Oh, so you're going to install what you call it? Fun.
Mate, who can say?
Well, I can say because that's your only way through here. um, well, that's fun. How much did we decide it cost you to get through? Leech counter's going to help a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't rest.
Oh,
I won't
interesting.
rest.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm actually going to jack out on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. We have a living mural.
And I think it's going to get to live on that archer for a while.
Probably. How many magnets? Well, you're on UAV, so even if I'm on magnets. I
Yeah,
imagine
it can just get
playing on stream, you
back
just
up.
miss things. Yeah, totally. 100%. Um, um,
Do I need to
it's
fully break this? Probably.
no.
Probably.
Give me two credits. What are you breaking for here? One. That seems
Yeah,
okay.
which is why the advanced ice wall mattered.
Living mirror kind of gets through a Pharos quite well if you put an egret on it.
Yeah, an egret on it. Yeah, yeah. That is okay. A table slash and burn.
Yeah, probably a mistake, but I didn't really have anything else to do at the time, so
That
I
was
went for it.
not what I was expecting. All right, I'll just go touch your hand. Keep you honest.
Sure.
Tree line.
See a tree line. Well, you've turned up one turn too late, but that's fine, I guess.
Spin doctor. Interesting.
And we will get rid of one of these. Yeah, people pointing out that it still costs 7 to break. Is it still 7? Surely it's not 7. No, it's not. No, maybe it is. Yeah, it is still 7.
Yeah, because it's
Well,
four for the
7 to fully
subs.
break. Yeah.
Yeah, four for the subs, and
I'm
the
so
the
I'm so used to breaking archers with Ekas now that it's like
yeah. Oh, wow. One of the most brick draws I think I've ever had with this deck.
all of these leech counters are a bit annoying. Oh, that's
You can perch.
such a top deck.
Oh, Spire. Oh,
And Meteor, the reason that I didn't jam the spin in the remote was that I was hoping I would draw something off the spin that I could jam in the remote and advance. For instance, a Basalt Spire, which is exactly what we did.
okay, okay. Draw. Okay, they're finally showing up to work.
Okay, there we go. Night Turtok.
The good cards have decided to make an appearance.
Yeah, Aesop's engine seems to be getting online here.
I do bin a conduit, which might be a mistake, but
Here we install this here.
there, interesting. Yeah, another spin. This is a tough one. All right, well, look, one of them has to be a Charlotte Cassador, so
I wonder what I
three
throw out
seamless,
of
three
my
spin,
hand.
three Charlotte. That adds up.
I think I throw this.
Oh, okay. I'm actually in pain. I'm taking a screenshot of this hand to send you after.
uh,
Okay. Um, how do I play through this? Well, I can run server one. It is probably just a Charlotte because
yeah.
you're not going to jam something
I mean,
valuable because you
the
know I can run.
the worst that it could be would be a basalt for the win, right?
It
So
would. It would. You'd need another seamless in hand, but
nope.
no.
I have access to as many
You
seamless
do.
as
You have a
well.
basalt. Yeah,
I
you
have
do.
a
You
basalt.
scored a basalt. You have got seamless counters. You're trying to keep me honest. All right. Let's. Do I draw once more in pure copium that the hand improves? Or do I click the good button?
Is the good button the telework button?
I clicked that already.
Okay. You've got another good button.
Yeah, yeah. I have a good button. The hand's pretty light on good buttons.
There.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh,
I would really love to have drawn the Sarsi, but
yeah, I bet.
oh, can I still afford this if you res? If you do that, three. What is this? This will be three leech counters plus two boosts plus four to break. I can let you gain two credits. If you res this, I think this is still fine. If I've done the maths wrong, then oops.
Hmm.
Guess I lose the game. I
uh,
think I've done the maths right though.
that's interesting.
Three on the leech, two to boost, four to break is six. So if you res it, I can break, and it denies you the threat of win on Basalt Spire. It's what I was hoping would happen. Through that, see what you got. Hoping for Charlotte.
Like
Is a
I'm
Charlotte.
kind of really quite tempted to not pop it.
Force me to
Because
trash. Yeah,
yeah, like two
I
credits for
think
you right now
there's a
is a
good
lot.
argument to do that. There
And
is a good
actually
argument
letting
to
you
do that.
trash it when I have basalt counters is probably like way better. I think I should have considered that.
Possibly. All right, let's draw last click 'cause I'm good at Netrunner.
Best way to assert your dominance. We're gonna go.
Drawing last click is actually strictly correct, and all of the good players have been lying to you. That's their secret.
And might need to read a card here.
Always a good sign.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything. So, um, hmm. So I think the best bet is to do this.
Ooh, spicy. Well, I still got nothing to UAV, so
I assume you're on free UAV in this deck. It feels like
oh
it
yes.
must be.
Oh yes. The drawing the deck back to front has been very real. Let's just go do this again, I guess.
Okay, we've got a Muse. The Muse is getting a Saucy. You haven't Arisana'd yet, have you?
Nope, I still have my Arasana up, importantly.
Yeah.
Ooh, Descent. Interesting.
It's an annoying enough card for Arisana to deal with.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that one for a second because that loses me a Trojan. I'm gonna assert that that's not the win, which might be a mistake. And I'll just take my credits.
Thinking.
Sure.
I mean, I do re-res it, don't I?
There's
You're like,
yes, you do. You give me three credits. I'm sorry. You were
yeah.
considering not giving me three
No,
credits?
no, genuinely, because I was considering not giving you free credits and then over installing it and pulling an archer back with a basalt and sticking a into
Mm.
there.
First UAV, 25th card on the deck, by the way.
Wow, you should play more than three.
Yeah. Or 20, yeah.
So
Hey, you can do that now, right? Oh, no, you can't. It's not a connection. Never mind.
yeah, it's a job, right? I think job, Ritzy, or just job.
Yeah, job Ritzy.
Weird.
What is the text on the other copies of this you can run? Connection or virtual?
here we're gonna go advance,
Okay.
then install,
Ooh. Okay.
and give myself a big Pharos and get a game loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, Resinous Descent felt quite good because having played my Arasana deck for a lot, I found that Descent has been one of the most annoying cards for me to deal with. Um, because the correct thing to do is always just to pull it back at the beginning of your turn and then put it back on the board. Okay,
So
we have
big log
Umbrella.
jam. Yep. We finally have a breaker suite.
Umbrella can 2 credits for 3 Kogates. Pretty good. It's like
Yep.
kind of good.
It does draw us both a card.
Yeah, I'll take a card.
Yeah, that's the thing. But actually, that's good because it accelerates the game, which makes you flood
I
copium.
liked. Did you see the uh Tuno posted it was a deck list from a while back called Princess Toadstool, and I think it's probably the only like um ooh, what am I doing here? It's probably the only like Arasana deck, serious Arasana deck that has that had Umbrella in it.
Yeah.
This one here. But I really liked its thought process behind
Interesting.
that, where it
No
would
face down shuffle.
no face down shovel. I've got Basalt Spire if you want to go and check. Um, and basically its plan was put like if you're conduiting, then them drawing is actively bad for them. So the whole plan
Yeah.
was like you conduit and you get the umbrella down on, so that you're running archives. We'll do this first. We will.
You'll notice I binned it earlier because I was broke, but I am on conduit in this list
Yes,
for a
I
very
did
similar
notice.
reason. Of it,
Uh,
it works well with umbrella.
okay. Um,
Yeah, the this deck struggles against Descent and Tatubola because the only way it can break them is with a Trojan on them, and they both eat your Trojan, and then you can
yes.
just put them back on the table, so they just infinitely eat Trojans.
Okay, so we're gonna do this and this
Okay.
because that's the only thing that makes sense, I think. Can I, yeah, I can, hopefully I can do this. Is this legal? Can I advance
You can clear my
anything with
leech.
business as usual? Oh, you can
Um,
advance. No, I can't.
you
Okay, so
can
that's fine.
advance no.
So it needs to be this and this because I can advance that, and then I'll wipe your
Clear the
leech
leech. Yep.
and
Good card.
quick think about this. Living Mirror are actually quite good now, right? Like, it's quite good. Um, we're gonna res this guy because I've not really
Mm,
played with Isaac. Um,
yep.
and oh no, that should be on the Archer. Um, uh, I can
Mm,
sort that, I guess, because this doesn't have to be advanced, right?
from the
From the
BAU,
Isaac, from no, from the
from the
Isaac.
Isaac, no, just has no advancement counters
Yeah,
on it,
yeah. Okay, there we
which
go.
lets you get to 8 on the
Disappointingly, this
Archer.
will cost you exactly 1 credit more to break. How gutting.
Yes. Clearing the leech was good for you there, though.
Yes, I can see how you built this. It was complete jank, but it's actually quite good. Oh
It,
my
it's
gosh,
gone.
there's a
It's
third
gone
one.
through some refinement. Yep, there's 3 of them, and there's been 3 of them in hand all game.
Ugh.
And you weren't pushing in the remote, so I had no reason to use them.
No,
And I
because
hadn't drawn any Sarsies, so I couldn't use them for tempo.
I was not drawing things that I wanted to put in the remote.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sorry. Thinking. Breakpoints, maths. Well, obviously we de-res this, but you may well just re-res it. So I have a actually quite difficult decision to make here about what
Interesting.
Trojan I put down. So it was 8, right? And
It's 8 strength. Yes.
Living Mural breaks odd numbers. So
Oh, are we seeing a monkey wrench? We're seeing a monkey
let's put
wrench.
a monkey wrench on the table.
Literally putting my You don't want to put. Well, do you want to put it there? I don't know.
I
I
need
guess
to break Descent with Umbrella.
surely not. Descent is Umbrella's like 5 strength.
Umbrella can only interface with Ice hosting a Trojan program.
Right. Yes. Yes. I have. I
I have to
have
put
now
a
remembered
Trojan
how it
there.
works. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the annoying thing about Descent
Ooh.
and Tattoo Bowler is they just consistently eat your Trojans.
Yeah.
So you have to make the runs count, and I'm hoping this run counts. It feels like the kind of run that would count. You did move an Isaac on top of it,
Yeah.
and this is
Okay.
nice because it gets all of your ice to odd breakpoints, which is good for the living mural.
Yeah. It's almost like someone put this set together.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah. We'll draw a card.
yeah.
Sure. Right.
All right, you give me 3 credits. You go down to 3 points. You get an archer. I break it
And you
for some amount of money
break it for about 6.
after the discount or before the discount.
Well,
No,
the
yeah, yeah,
discount
after
the
discount.
discount is cancelled out, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
because archers are
Isaac
expensive.
and so this is just so it'll cost you like 7 to get in here. Just still like enough.
Yeah, good thing I'm on 14.
Still enough for me to consider it.
The bigger thing is it brings you down to 3 points. Takes
Yeah,
you off
I
the
mean
edge.
that's like upsetting for sure. Mm, when I res it, you'll get 3 more, but you're gonna get 3 more whatever the screw
Well,
happens.
you could choose to not res it. It is a
Could
May
choose
on
to.
window
I
of
can
opportunity.
choose to not read it, res it. That is
I don't think it's ever correct, but
with an archer, probably not. Like with a lot of other things, like I'll be like, yeah, fine.
yes.
I'm not. I'm
I
not.
think people take the Sarsi res with window of opportunity way too often. Um, I think a lot of the time the correct thing to do is if it's not the best ice in the world, is leave it unresed and then just overinstall it.
I wish it was a logjam. If it was a logjam, it would be gaining infinite strength from
Infinite value. Yes, yes,
it.
that's the thing. You can't do this on a logjam because it hurts.
How are you dealing with logjams with this deck? Just
Monkey wrench leech.
and
Put an
egret.
egret on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. I guess like
There,
umbrella.
there,
Umbrella
there
deals.
is a fractor in this deck now, but for a long time it was fractaless, and then I got completely blown out by a tattoo bowler, and so I legitimately considered playing Marjana because the only ice the deck needs to break is Tattoo Bowler, and it questionably has an influence spare. Sorry, it's Tattoo Bowler. But
I was considering Marjana the other day myself, so
yeah, I always consider it. It never
interesting.
goes in a deck.
I'm just gonna res this because I want to cost you money.
You are gonna res it.
I'm gonna res it.
So yep, okay. Uh
Although whether like costing an Aesop's deck money is a thing is I don't know. Don't know if that's
I
fair.
think 7 credits is a lot of credits.
It's like enough.
And then I can break this for 2 or 2. So I'll do the one that doesn't draw you a card. What you got for
Well,
me?
you win an agenda. You get
An
an agenda, so definitely
Another
worth.
table slash and burn.
Yeah. Okay.
Memory units. That's a con.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. You can take back the install if you want, unless you wanna do it
I'm
first.
thinking about losing the Sarcy. That's all my windows of opportunity gone.
Interesting. I'd have still wanted to sell it. Like
Yeah, it's more it's how many turns do I think are going to be left in the game?
fair. Um.
And now I can start like I can still flicker Monkey Wrench or Regret depending on what hangs around. I was assuming it wasn't gonna my Monkey Wrench wasn't gonna get to hang around.
Yeah. It wasn't. You're absolutely right. Okay. So here, do we do here? Hmm. Genuinely, it might be this.
Interesting. Love that for me. Get
Yeah.
some basalt counters out. And then you jam an agenda pretending it's a
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Every
I see
time.
through your ruse.
This is never not an agenda.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm not gonna run it. You can have your Charlotte for a turn.
What if I put a piece of ice here? Does that make a difference?
Yeah, they're still a Charlotte. Now
Uh,
if you over install it instead. Um, okay. UAV is going to grab me the egret for flexibility. Aesop is going to hit that. We are going to start by clicking the draw button because that's what it's there for. We are going to do some more drawing cards and get a better breaker down on that.
that is a better break on it. Until I put like a million counters on it. Then what you get?
Yep, it's um use back the monkey wrench.
Fine. Acceptable.
Just touch cards here. I think I just touch cards here. You keep on leaving face downs in archives, but you did shuffle 2 back.
Yeah. Got to
Yeah.
be a bit careful. Still got one basalt counter.
I don't know. I wanna know what's you have a logjam on R&D. Hold on. Let me run the logjam first. Let me It could not be a logjam. It's a logjam.
It could not be a logjam.
It's
Could
a
be a tree line.
logjam.
Tree line's worth boosting like that.
How much is logjam right now? Operation, upgrade, asset, +4, goes to 8.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes to 8.
Well, I'm gonna draw again. Okay, I'm gonna just go touch cards and keep you honest. Ooh, Crisium Grid. That is a card that
Yeah, you want to trash it?
yep.
Okay, well,
Not
that tells
until you've rezzed it.
you. Okay.
This deck does not need success triggers.
Well, that's more what I'm worried about. I mean, you've got trick shots. So.
Yeah, a few
Um,
credits, but like, you spend 3 credits to deny me 2 credits. I'm kinda comes out in the wash.
yeah. Do you know how close I was to jamming a basalt spy there? Very, very close.
It maybe was the right line, and then you get another archer on R&D, assuming you have another archer somewhere.
We'll do this. Obviously, we should do this. And we'll do this.
Oh, that is a remote.
It's a remote, isn't it? It looks a bit like one anyway.
I didn't realize you were playing Earthsea. I thought that was rotated.
I mean, you can pay an extra 6 to run the remote if you want. I will quite happily go with that as the plan.
Aesop's Muse, UAV, the Slap Vandal. All right, can I have a single?
You can have a single.
It's a
You want it.
logjam.
You have to pay for it.
Nah, nah. Let's. What are we doing the rest of this turn? You've not really got any threats up. Logjam's kind of pricey. Okay, let's just put a Slap Vandal on it because you're not going to overinstall it, and I get to draw a card and gives me my UAV trigger for next turn.
Yeah,
Fun.
seems good enough. I get my 2
And then
credits
we'll
back.
bounce off.
How nice.
Hold on, I can
Oh,
break the 2
you
credits
can't.
for
No,
1.
you can't.
Okay,
No, you can't.
I can't. It's 8 strength. 8 strength, eh? Alright,
If you put
well.
a monkey wrench on it as well, then you could.
Yeah, or I can just egret it and living mural through it at some point. Um. All right, let's just keep you honest. What's in here? All right, what's in here?
Had to
Tree line.
do a double think to make sure I wasn't getting deep dived, and then I realised
That's
it
not in this
wasn't
format.
successful and it's not legal.
This.
So
Yep. I game lost myself. You've really the web of cards you've built in front of you, but you're digging. You don't have the win.
yeah, if I had the win, well, I don't
It would
know.
have gone. You'd have jammed it. I'm just gonna
I
keep on.
the arch is not as taxing as I want it to be for you right now. So
No, I'm just gonna keep taking shots. Keep you honest.
fine. Okay, quick think here. Do that. Do that.
Interesting.
Do this.
Okay. Okay. UAV. V is gonna do nothing. Aesop's is gonna eat the Slap Vandal.
Alrighty.
We are gonna draw one brackets one card. We're gonna think for a hot second.
Thinking is allowed.
We are gonna make sure we have the money to do this play and draw another card.
Does seem like a lot of money. Oh, bollocks! that's that's probably good enough.
Got a res for me?
Yeah. But like
Ooh, that is expensive.
that's yeah, but not really. I don't think. I think it will only cost you about 7 credits or something. I don't know. We'll find out. Spree plus egret is a very fun line here.
Yeah. 7 for that.
Okay, and you can move this thing 3 times.
I can, and you have got 3 things that I need to
Three
put it on.
things. 3 things. I'm gonna
Yep.
be beaten by a spree, and I'm gonna be happy
Yep.
about it. Um,
3
or it's just a Charlotte. Be a
Yep.
weird looking Charlotte, wouldn't it?
Yep. Yeah. That's a Spire, I'm guessing, with a Seamless in hand that I somehow kept missing in all my shots.
Yeah. Well, I don't even necessarily need to seamless. I've always got access to another seamless, but
That's true.
love it. I
That
mean,
is
I
the
was I was like, you've got the money, but I do not think you've got even. I did not think that even Arasana had the clicks necessary
Yep.
to
We call that
deal with that.
spree grit.
That's beautiful.
So
I
that is a deck that I think cannot exist in standard at all, but that has
Yeah,
legs in
I'd agree.
startup.
Yeah.
Because of the slower pace means you have time to cook the UAV and really get value out of the Aesop's engine to have the money you need. The one thing it's really, really sad to not have is Cuban.
Mm-hmm. Although, like,
But
Saucy can kind of like if you squint at it really hard, Saucy looks a
I've
little bit like a Koban.
I've held your ideal turn one is your opponent jams something behind a single ice. You run Arasana Sarsi, they res bounce you off, you window of opportunity back.
Oh, that's very rude.
Net
Yeah,
net 9 credits and trash whatever they put in the remote or steal turn one.
I,
It is a
I,
line that I get somewhat consistently. There are 3 Sarsies and 3 windows of opportunity in this deck. It's partly a response to the fact that Archer has legs again in the format,
yeah,
as you've seen, and it I think this deck has more legs than it should, and I'm really happy about it.
yeah. I mean, like, window of opportunity in Arasana does seem like really, really nonsense, but it's just not the right thing to do in standard. So I think this is
No,
a great example of a deck which, yeah, probably can't be played in standard, or not at a sort of high top competitive level,
no.
but it definitely has the ability to do some absolute nonsense in startup.
So some variant of this is what I'm intending to bring to the startup side event at UK Nets. So this is
Marvelous.
my current runner deck for the format.
So everyone should be playing pings and nothing else, and you'll be all right.
So that is where the card that I never saw and had uh plenty of credits for the entire game comes in. Um
I'm trying to work out what. Okay, right, fine.
which also gets me past the oops 10 strength logjam.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was kind of worrying. This is what I was like trying to work out. Can you install? I mean, the problem is you can install a pressure spike for basically no money here. So
Correct.
I felt a little bit like the logjam wasn't going to keep you out, but
Yeah.
I just thought maybe you don't have it. You also need to get like to get through the descent. You're going to need a Trojan on that, so that's like probably your Trojan click. And yeah,
Yep.
I guess like just install pressure spike run probably does it, but
Yeah.
I had to
Now,
make I had to make a push.
Yeah, no, 100%. The push there was correct. I mean, I don't think you ever want to play around spree grit.
No. Also,
Um,
looking at my deck, I do not now draw into another agenda for one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 cards, or anything else which I
yep.
can install in advance. So, like, if I didn't push there, then like by the time I do, I'm
So I was 4 cards away, so probably 2 turns from having Conduit Pressure Spike on the table, at which point I was just gonna see if I could hammer out R&D. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked, but waiting for me to get that set up might have been your window to push.
yeah.
But I
Uh,
was taking pot shots at hand every single turn, so it's
yeah,
hard to
that's
keep
it.
an agenda there.
There
How
was
much did I miss, or were you generally
no,
dry?
I didn't have an agenda in hand. Like I think maybe only one turn where you ran, and I had like a slash and burn in there, but
Yeah,
it was pretty clean. Like most of the time, if I had something to put in the remote, I put it in the remote.
you were jamming it. Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's the strength of Charlotte, right? She gives you a huge amount of draw, but you can very much like the server that protects Charlotte is the same server that protects the things you draw from Charlotte.
yeah. Um, I kind of had to make plays with the slash and burns, which I was annoying because I would have really quite liked to not have had to do that. So I could have.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't actually draw into a second eminent, so it wasn't like I could have fast advanced out another eminent. But um, yeah, my I like I would have much rather held on to those, but I was like, well, I have to force you to do something, otherwise Aesop's engine Arasana with UAV is gonna rock me very very hard.
Yep. So one thing to note there, you basic action click credited 4 times that game. I basic action click credited 19 times that game
Oh my word! But then
because
again,
there is
and technically only two because two of them I should have advanced
should have
by.
been advances, yeah.
Yeah,
Because draw is miserable round aside in startup right now. Um, you pretty much like you need your decks and you spend influence on economy so that you're not clicking for credits because you need to spend the clicks to draw cards.
I
Because
mean,
the
draw can't be that
only
bad. I've got to shut the stream down in a second, but I'm just very quickly like startup
it's
Shaper still has got Diesel and
yes
the Arcation
diesel.
and not Nuka anymore though, right? Not Nuka.
Yeah, you lose Nuka. We still have diesel, and Lilypad, which is
Hmm.
obviously what I was relying on
Yep.
here was the Lilypad draws. Um, a lot of decks, their econ package is Career Fair, Liberated, and Earthrise Hotel.
Earthrise. Yeah, makes sense. Like Earthrise is like
Um,
a hell of a drug to be honest. Drawing 2 cards at the start of every turn is
yeah.
pretty sick.
This deck could be on it because it does tend to have spare UAV credits. That might be the next variant of it I try
Yep.
because
I
this
can
deck
see it.
does click to draw a lot. That's its big weakness. But also, it kind of has time to click to draw a lot because it's pretty efficient with the clicks it uses on runs, as you saw with the spree grit turn and the
Yeah.
sort of very efficient window of opportunity Sarsi turns.
Yeah, and I mean, you've also Umbrella's a draw card, right? This says draw on it.
Yeah, yeah. Umbrella's a draw card. So
So you got like a ton of draw. Like no no
that was
worries.
startup. I hope you enjoyed visiting. Maybe come back soon.
Um, yeah, it was actually like kind of fun, and I had some fun earlier on today, like looking through lists and working out what I thought might work. I need to pull out my R plus deck from somewhere because that was actually like a very fun deck, which I think probably feels just as good. And I played it at EMEA and didn't regret not being on some sort of nasty 6 3-pointer agenda plan
Yep.
at any point, which was great.
Yeah. This is the thing: is there were good decks before, they just weren't as good.
Yeah,
So it's sort of why it made the balancing quite easy for us.
yeah.
Of there was a very obvious problem to solve.
Right.
The Yeah,
With that, I should ask you.
hopefully what I oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you have anything in particular you want to shout out before we go? I mean, maybe the date of your next Reading event, for instance, which I've
Yep.
already forgotten.
So first thing is the love letter to startup article.
Hmm.
If people haven't read it yet, I'm really proud of it. And I've had a lot of people say that, people who enjoy startup tell me that it puts into words well why they enjoy startup, which people have, I think, struggled communicating to the startup naysayers before. So hopefully, if you are a bit of a startup naysayer, it might change your perspective. And if you're not, then hopefully it puts into words maybe how you feel about the format, or maybe it just gives you some insight if you're sort of value neutral on startup. I'm hoping that the kind of values and ideas I put into that article showed true in play today. I think they did. I think this was a really, really great showcase of what startup has to offer as a format for a slower, more kind of um, intentionally longer games, as the format goes. And I had a lot of fun playing. In terms of my next event, it will be at the uh, Risk meeting rooms in Reading on the 5th of October. And there is an Always Be Running. If you just search, look in the UK, you should always be able to find a Reading monthly GNK we are now doing. So they're every month, generally on the first or second Saturday. We try for the second, can't always get the room. If you're in that neck of the woods, which I class that neck of the woods as most of the south of the UK, because Reading has really good transport links, feel free to come down and play some games. That'll be standard format. Um, yeah, that's all from me.
Amazing. Lucy, thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully, if any of you are interested in jumping in and trying out some startup, I think it's a pretty good time if you want to see dip your toes in. And obviously, there'll be startup at Worlds this year and at UK Nuts. So I'm sure there'll be a few people shipping around and shopping around for
The
some decks to play.
the startup league in GLC has players again, rapidly approaching the standard league's player count again, which is lovely to see.
Nice.
Um, so if people are looking for online play, then there's plenty of startup available.
Incredible. Um, Thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to go to bed. I'm sure Lucy is as well. And I will see you all